So today we have a special guest, and her name is Julia Cannon. So she is the daughter of Dolores Cannon, and everybody knows Tracie. So today we're going to talk to her about her book, Soul Speak. And this book deals with healing and different ways of looking at like different pains and aches and diseases, cancer. It's a totally different viewpoint of healing and like how to heal yourself and how to look at different pains and diseases from a different type of viewpoint that can help you out in life. And I met Julia at a QHHT class in Arkansas, level 1 and level 2. And if I can get this computer to work to share the picture, I will, but the picture is probably going to go that way. So, and of course, her mother is the author of Convoluted Universe, some of my favorite books. And she was an instructor and cared so much for everybody in the class, so much love, and such a wonderful person, caring, just really down to earth and hard as gold. I mean, you can't put it in a box. It just explodes.
So I was told years ago that I was going to do QHHT, and that kind of set me on a little adventure. And that adventure took me to Honolulu, where Dolores and Doreen Virtue were going to be speaking, and Julia was there with her mom at the time. And so I had gone to that lecture and got to, that was my only in-person meeting with Dolores, but that got my journey started with Julia. And so I got my book signed. I got to sit there and listen to all the fascinating things about the 3 waves of volunteers, and I think Doreen Virtue's version of that is indigos and crystal and star children or something like that. So that was a really cool lecture. It was in a small little church. It was very intimate. We got to all go up and talk to them. And the most impressive thing was how down to earth and friendly both of you were. You were available to anyone that wanted to talk to you, and you stuck around afterwards and let us all just hover on you and get pictures and, you know, be gushy and weird, and you let that happen. And so I was appreciative of that. And at the time I had some internet radio shows going, and I think it was probably a year or so later when I finally contacted Julia and asked her if she would be on my show to talk about Soul Speak and different things like that. And we just, I don't know, I think from the get-go we were just kind of smart asses, and we just kind of roll with it. Yeah, yes. We had a lot of fun. And so I had her back, and we had more fun, and I had her back again, we had more fun. And then we did shows with Diane Morrison. And so at that point I had already taken my QHHT level 1, but I did mine online, so I didn't get the in-person experience. But I was practicing the quantum healing and having some wonderful experiences with that, getting to go to amazing different places with the clients, and really wanting to do level 2. And so that's how I met Jason. So Arkansas.
Lots of hugs.
Yeah, lots of hugs. And got to spend some time with Julia and Jason and everyone else in person, Kaya and the group, and just got to really even get to sync that connection in even further. And now she can't get rid of me. So what do you do?
Yeah, stuck together.
Yeah. I think actually we found out karmically we are tied together. So there's no mistake in us getting along like this. It is the karmic path. And so it's good. Waiting to see how that all works out for us. So, yeah.
Makes you wonder what the future holds.
It really does. Yeah. But we've got some journeys to take, I'm sure. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've taken several, and we'll keep taking more.
We'll keep taking more. Yeah, we got to do the LA, the Consciousness Life Expo in LA. We had a blast at that. Yeah.
Yeah, that looked fun. That looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had goals. We went through our little books and found all the pictures of people we wanted to meet. And I think we only didn't meet one person.
Right. But what was really cool about this is Tracie would say, okay, this is who I want to meet today. And they would actually come to our booth because we couldn't
They would
leave.
walk to
So
the
they
booth.
would actually come right up and it would be, she's such a wonderful manifester. She just created everybody that she wanted to come right there. I mean, it was usually like first thing in the morning was a lot of it.
It was, yeah. When we were setting up, here they would come. Oh my gosh, there they are, Teal Swan. She just walked right out and stood there with us for a little bit, looking at things.
And then that one, what was the guy?
Emery, yeah.
Emery Smith, that's right. I'm not saying.
That's a good one.
And he stood there for a long time.
I want him to come over here, and he did, and he wouldn't leave. I mean, he just stayed. He was at the booth across from us, but then he finally, I mean,
Then he came over and realized who you were, and yeah, we were having a great time at that. And we had so many things go wrong at that. We should have just been in a horrible mood, but we were having the best time. Like nothing showed up. 7 boxes. 7 boxes were supposed to be at that
We
expo.
had an empty booth, but my gosh, you would never know it.
You wouldn't. We were still able to bring them in, and we were all laughing and having a good time. And we got shushed a couple of times because we had a reader next to us. She was a lovely, lovely woman, but she was trying to do her readings, and we're all and so yeah. But
You should have threw out a grounding rod to y'all.
yeah,
But it was
probably
wonderful.
tried.
There was a lot of healing going on because they'd come by and start talking, and then all this stuff would just be uncovered, and they would just get
Oh yeah.
huge. And that's why we were making a lot of noise because
Yeah.
there was laughing and there was all kinds of things because you don't need all those props.
No.
We were just doing our thing, and we were just down to the core doing it. And
We were, and we do need to make a note to self for next time we do that. We will have a box of tissue.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
I mean, almost everybody ended up crying.
Yeah,
Tracie has that way about her.
I do make people cry.
So they were crying because they were having sessions or just a conversation.
Just the conversation.
The conversations were so healing. I mean, it was uncovering things, and they would just start bawling.
Yeah, and we were talking about how the language of the body talks to you and everything. Julia's lecture that weekend was about her book, and so we were talking about that stuff. And when you connect with somebody in those levels, then they're just we created a safe environment. We got lots of hugs that weekend too. So yeah, we had a really good time and just connected with a lot of people and made a lot of new friends. So.
Absolutely. A lot of new contacts, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that was a good one, but definitely healing. So
yeah, it was great because usually you go to those if you're a vendor, you go there to sell things. And what we were, it was healing that was happening. So
Right. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were selling things, and the fun part about that is I got to be the cashier for the
I was about to say, well, you're the cashier.
the cashier.
Yeah, when our product finally arrived.
Yeah, which was its own scavenger hunt. And again, I have to say how impressed I am with Julia. I would have been a basket case, and she held it together. And there was times that I wanted to get a little grumpy with the concierge. But they did not seem to be bothered one iota that nothing was showing up for us or how to help us find it. And so it took some persuasive talking, and Julia was much better at that than I was. I was kind of like, you're kidding me, right? And she's like, and how would we be able to do that?
So, you have to go and get
Julia's just coasting along.
Yeah. So yes, it involves 2 Uber drivers, a post office, a guy with an Oregon State sweatshirt on, by the way, which I thought was very synchronistically designed for us. And but yeah, we got almost all the boxes. We never did find 2 of them.
No,
Oh, wow.
they still haven't arrived.
No, they haven't. They're in limbo somewhere. And
What was in the boxes? Was it shirts? Or?
oh, you'll laugh at what it was.
The ones that didn't arrive,
Yeah.
they were banners.
They were the
Yeah.
banners to tell everybody what our booth was.
Yeah, to actually give our booth some
Oh,
something to tell
no.
people. They never
So,
ever have shown
If
up.
you're walking down the expo, everybody's right behind them is a big banner of what their booth is. So everyone looks up here. Here comes us. We're blank. But I think maybe that was a gift, because then they would have to look at our table to see what was on it. And there's the books and the flyers and stuff that we did finally get.
They do
Right.
say everything happens for a reason, so maybe there was a reason for it.
Yeah. So there was a little more eye contact happening maybe. And
Right.
yeah, we took full
And
advantage.
you just had to roll with it. I mean, it's all you can do at that point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it made-
yeah, you don't have a
we had to be
choice.
we had to be more entertaining. We couldn't rely on the props. We had to.
We
rely on-
handled it.
We did a lot of dancing. Tracy did some stripping.
Yeah.
Dancing. You know, just
Right when he's drinking, you tell him.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the best.
He's moving the sweater.
That was the condition, that if none of the boxes showed up, I was going to have to draw attention in somehow. And I don't know where that stripping part came in, but it did get put out there like that. And so I was very grateful and so is the rest of the conference, that we did figure out the boxes. So yeah.
You was working pretty hard. You know, you was marketing, cashier.
Yeah.
she was a one-man band there. I mean, she was doing it all.
That's right. And I was spinning plates on sticks at the same time.
Nice.
So
Well,
Yeah.
did you get any feedback of your book from anybody at that show, at that expo?
mhm.
I did. Everybody, I mean, it's like what Tracy, I think we were saying beforehand. I mean, the ones that know of it, know about it and everything, the practitioners, almost all
Yeah.
practitioners, use it and everything. And it's always, it's a wonderful resource book. They all use it. They all, they have their clients use it after they, have their sessions with them, if they have anything healing going on. So yeah, everybody that gives me feedback, that's what they're telling me. Every day I use this book. So
Yeah, it is a daily referencer. I agree. Why don't you tell people how they would work that as a daily, how they could use this book on a daily reference type thing, or just, with family and friends? How does one use the Soul Speak book?
Well, first of all, Soul Speak, the language of your body. It's understanding that this is, when your body has aches and pains and illnesses, diseases, anything like that, it's a message from your higher self to you, because the body is not created to have any of these issues. It's created to be healthy, have no aches or pains, and live to be several hundred years old.
Wow.
So it's like, then what's going on if that's not happening? We have all this stuff happening. Well, and that's where, through mom sessions and then my own intuitive work, I found that this is a language that our higher selves are using to try and speak to us. It's just through our body. These are messages to tell us things, directions to go, or you stopped and you need to keep moving, or you're off track. Usually it's things like that. It can be other things as well. But so it's anytime if you have issues going on with your body, it's trying to tell you something. So that's where the book, I recommend that you read it all the way through so you understand the process of it and the whole premise of it. But there is a quick guide in the back to help, if you just went there and got, okay, well, this is what this means. And that's great to understand that right then. But you really, really want to go and read it all and understand just how it works, because then you can do it with anything. It's not just using that book as a reference guide, because it's not meant that way. My higher self told me, when they kept insisting that I write this, they told me that I had to, because there weren't others out there with the process and to help people fully understand what is going on. And when you understand what and why, then you know what to do with it. You can work with it better. So if you just go for something outside of yourself and to get the answers, you'll never fully understand yourself and be able to heal yourself. You've got to have the process within. This is the time they keep saying, it's time to stop going on the outside of ourselves, or without, to get our answers. All of the answers lie within. We've been told that how long? And they said, now it's time to do that. It's time to go inside and get your answers. And this book tells you how to do that.
Right. Yeah, you cover almost a lot of topics: asthma, arthritis, birth defects, bruises, burns, cancer, chills, colds, bone problems.
There are a lot of things that, there are some things that are not covered, but that's where if you go to the body area, the system, the body system, and understand, see, that's what I'm saying, go through the book and understand how it works, then all you have to do is understand the body system and you will understand the messages. It doesn't have to be laid out there in a guide for you.
I know when you was talking about the book in the level 2 class, and it was perfect timing. You was talking about the eyes. You know, if you have an eye problems, your body's trying to give you a message that you're not seeing. And,
right. What don't you want to see, or what don't you want to see clearly, or what are you not seeing clearly? Something along those lines. Yeah.
right. And then you went to the ears.
Uh-huh.
It's like your body's trying to tell you that you're not listening, you're not hearing. And a person in the back in the level 2 class goes,
That's
"What?
right.
What?"
Yeah.
It was like
I remember that.
timing.
It was perfect timing. It's like, I thought it was a joke, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't
No,
a joke. No.
She's like, "What? I have that problem. What was that?" It was like everybody started.
Everyone's laughing.
And
Yeah.
it was like perfect. She's like, "I have that problem too. What was that? What was that last part?" She only knew.
Yeah.
Exactly. And well, she just told on herself, and that was really perfect. Or I don't remember if it was a male or female, but but that's just it. You know, not paying attention, not listening, and so it was perfect. Everybody got that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What are some of the other examples?
Well, I think one would be good is Tracie. We've worked through something. You had a personal
Yeah.
Yes.
situation. Would you mind sharing that? Because that's just textbook. What happened?
Yeah, that really was. And it's,
Yeah.
I think maybe it happened more for these scenarios that we keep sharing than it did for.
I'm saying it's
there
textbook. I say it's textbook, but it was soul speak book.
So this
Word
was
for
right
word.
before the conference, and so I was talking to Julia, trying to orchestrate getting some stuff going on with flights and hotel and everything else, and I kept having this back pain, and she didn't know I was going. I'm like, okay, I'll get back to you, and I hang up the phone. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this hurts so bad. And I'm trying to walk it off, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and finally I get to that point where I realize I got to go to urgent care and find out what's happening, because when I looked up the symptoms, it was saying it was either kidney or bladder. And so I thought, well, that ain't going away without a prescription, most likely. So I better get over to urgent care. So I called, I think I might have called you back and told you, I'm going to get back to you a little bit later. I got to go do this. Something along those lines. So I go to urgent care, and sure enough, she says, yeah, you got a kidney stone. Sends me home with one of those little filters to go potty and to catch the stone. And she doesn't give me any prescription. She says, go get the equivalent of a leave. And then, she did give me like a Flomax thing to open the channels for the crystal or the stone to get through. So I come back, and at this point, finally, I took the Aleve, and it was finally kicking in. I was feeling a little bit better. I called Julia back, and I said, okay, Miss Body Talks.
Talk to me.
I'm in pain. Help me figure this out. And so I told her what was happening, and you can go ahead and tell the world your diagnosis of it.
Yeah, anytime, kidneys, urine, urethra, anything with that area, you look at what that system does. So Jason, what does that system do? I mean, kidneys and the bladder and all of that.
Cleans out your system, filters out the blood, removes toxins.
It eliminates toxins, right? Yeah, it eliminates the waste from your body, right? It's the urine is your waste. And so if you have things there, then it's something to do with toxins or with waste, things that you need to be letting go of and you're holding on to, or it could be frequent urination. It could be you're really trying to get rid of it, things like that. But if you have something in that area, it's toxins or waste products from the body that you need to be rid of. Okay, and then the kidneys, like you said, that's filtering the toxins. So it has something to do with toxins of some kind. And that can be either literally chemical poison toxins or a toxic situation.
Toxic, like a toxic relationship or or something toxic.
Something, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and what's so beautiful when it's in that area, we have a term. I mean, we get this stuff because we have phrases that we use.
Yeah.
So my first question was to her is, what's pissing you off?
It really was. Yeah. And I said, oh.
Ah.
And she goes, do you feel blocked in this area? I'm like, yeah. I mean, it was like literally she said two things to me and boom, you could feel the shift. And so, yeah, she helped me realize what the situation was and that I was feeling stuck in that situation. I had no control. I was feeling very limited and stuck in that. And it was funny because the pain never came back.
Yeah, it was gone.
The stone. It was gone. It never came back. I was ready for something to pass, and it never did. And I'm going to knock on wood right now. It never came back.
Absolutely.
So that's how it works. It's just there to deliver a message. And once you get the message, you understand it. And if you need to act on it, then you act on it. But a lot of the times it's just understanding it. Like she went, oh, that's an understanding. Everything shifts at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You no longer need the message.
Yeah.
It just disappears. And that's where you'll get these miraculous cures. People, oh, I don't know. It's a miracle. No, it's you understood the message.
Yeah. Yeah, I am really a textbook of what can happen with this because the pain was, I'm not one that likes to go to an emergency room or a doctor's or anything like that. And I'll put it off until, it's bad if I went. And it was bad. It was, I could barely breathe. It was like labor. And I was having a hard time breathing. And luckily it's just like literally 2 blocks from my house. My sister was going to come pick me up and take me. I'm like, I think I can drive there. But it was bad. Even when I'm standing and they're waiting for him to come get me, the gal's going, are you okay? And I'm like, no, can't breathe. I'm probably turning all kinds of pale. And, but yeah, they get me in there. And the part that cracked me up though, I do have to say is I'm sitting there thinking they're giving me this prescription strength something for this pain. And I'm sitting in there for at least another hour waiting for the test results and whatever to come back. And I'm sitting there in pain and, it would kick in and I would just be sitting there trying to breathe and I'm in the little room by myself. And then she comes back and she gives me the prescription and she goes, you could probably just get this over the counter. It's the equivalent to a leave and you just take 2. And I'm like, I had that in my purse.
You could have taken a long time ago.
A long time ago. I was like, oh my gosh. Here I wasn't taking anything because I didn't want it to interfere with whatever they give me. And so, yeah. Anyway, I guess I needed to have the experience.
Yeah. So you knew the message right away. And once when you got the message, I guess you had to clear something out your life or?
No, I had to.
Life?
I had to realize what it was that I was upset about. So I tend to think everything in my world is my mirror, right? So it's never the other person. It's never, ever the other person. It's like, okay, what was that trigger? I was being triggered by something another person was doing, but it was my stuff that was surfacing. So once she told me, what are you pissed off about? Where are you feeling stuck? And then I just took time to sit with that and go, okay, yeah. Why am I, and I worked through it. I had to actually go back to another part of my history, go further back to figure out when was the first time I felt this way and identify that and heal that. It wasn't even about the person that was currently in the situation. It was something that went further back to, I think it might have even been a childhood thing or early adult years that something happened to me that was really hurtful. And then this mirrored it. And when that happened, then it kicked in all of this physical stuff because I still wasn't releasing it with the mirror. So then I had to have the physical thing show up so that I could purge it. But once I had Julia's help identifying it, then I was able to go through looking at it. And I mean, just even identifying it was the shift that like right then the painkillers had kind of kicked in before I got a hold of her. So the pain was gone. But the fact that it never came back and I never passed a stone, it just all went away.
Wow.
never did come back. So, there really is truth in doing the work around the stuff
Right,
that
and
shows
you
up for
do
you.
do the work. I mean, the first thing is understanding what it is, and that's usually because so many times we say, oh, it's an ache or pain, we got to go to the doctor, we got to take a pain pill, whatever,
Mhm.
and that's the end of it. We don't look for what is it. There's something behind it. There's a message there.
Yeah.
If we just keep taking pain pills or taking whatever, then it's not going to go away. It's going to stay there because it's a message.
It gets louder.
Mm-hmm. It is going to get louder.
Yeah.
And until
It
you
finds
pay
other
attention,
messages for you.
Yeah.
it's coming to mind when you're asking some other examples. And so I guess somebody needs to hear this, because usually I don't start in this part. I start with back and the legs and things like that. But it's telling me to talk about anything in the mouth, the throat, the jaws, anything in this area. Okay, that's very literally, this is what you use to speak, right? So that's how you do this. It's very literal. What is that part used for? It's also used for eating and everything, but in this part we're talking about, it's talking about speaking, and it has to do with speaking your truth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes that's kind of abstract, and people, that doesn't mean a lot to them. So
Right.
another way of putting that is there's something you need to say and you're not saying it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Brings it right down to what it is. And usually if I say that to someone, they know exactly what it is.
Yeah. And I've watched her do that, where she was on stage talking to the audience, and when somebody would volunteer themselves to go through the process with her, as soon as she would identify, what areas being affected, this is what that might mean, what was going on at that time. Oh, and you would see it every time, that aha moment, every time. They know what it is as soon as you
They
say
do
it.
know. They do know.
And it's like,
And-
oh, that makes sense.
Absolutely. Another thing is, if it's something that's been going on for quite a while, then it's like just identifying the area isn't quite enough. Now we need to identify, when did it start? Because something was happening at that point, and that's why it started. But now it's continued because you haven't gotten to the core of the matter. So that's where you look at, when did this start? And it might have been years ago. And it's okay, what was going on in your life at that time? And then you'll see there was something happening.
Yeah.
And it all correlates then. It all makes sense, because as soon as you do that, they say their aha moment. Oh, well, now that's when this was going on.
Yeah.
It's just something, they just never got the message. Well, now they're getting it. So now you can do something, you understand it now. And if it's calling for an action, okay. But usually once you get that understanding, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, it's just a shifting of understanding there, and that's what it takes.
Absolutely.
It's really very simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned the throat, but like, I think shoulders comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
That you have your shoulders are hurting, and people don't realize that's because you're putting a lot of pressure on your shoulders. A lot of stuff's on your plate.
Carrying a lot of weight. I like to say, one example is like Atlas carrying the world.
Mm-hmm.
But one that really resonates with me is, how they have the poles over the shoulder, and they have water, the
Oh, yeah.
buckets of water hanging off each one, and then how it makes you go like, it's like you can feel it. It's like, that's how it always comes to me as far as that. And when you think, that's carrying a lot of weight on your shoulders.
Yeah.
In other words, you're bearing a lot of responsibility. You're doing a lot of things that maybe, and probably could be delegating. And, usually the people that are doing all that.
Did you look at me when you just said that?
I did.
I think
And myself, you're my mirror.
Yeah.
But there's a tendency to, that's just it, and it's as it moves down. A lot of times they'll have that, and they have the low back will have issues, and the low back represents support or the feeling. It's usually they feel like they don't have support, and the big word there is feel. It doesn't mean that they don't have support. They feel like they don't have support, and it's usually just a matter of them not. Well, it's that delegation thing again. I got to do it all. Nobody's here. They can't do it. Well, it's not even recognizing necessarily that other people can help and would be happy to help if you would just let go of some of that.
I've witnessed that with some of with some of my clients with QHHT and stuff, where we've shifted that, where they felt they didn't have support. And just like what you're saying, looking at that weight on the shoulders and stuff like that. And once they have that aha moment, they realize they've had the support around them all along. And then they start really looking at it, and it almost becomes emotional when they realize how supported they really are. They just were blinded to it because they were in this other reality.
And that's what the body's trying to tell them. That's what the higher self's trying to say. Hey, you don't have to carry all this.
Yeah.
Let some of these others who are around you and happy to do it, let them help. That's the message.
Absolutely.
That's the message, Jason.
Yeah, but you're the one going through all the, because we're not listening. And hey, I'm talking to myself here. This is a constant reminder thing.
Yeah, it really is. I get that too when I do sessions. I'm like, I know they're talking to me too. So, yeah.
You said the information came from, like, as your mom was giving sessions, and she used to come home and she was like, this person had throat issues, and it's because they're not speaking the truth and everything. Yeah. What was the other ways that you was getting some of the information?
Intuitively. It started with mom and her sessions. Just like what you said, she'd come in and she's like, guess what I learned today? I mean, every time it was either what she learned she could do today or what something else meant. I mean, because this was coming in very gradually. And when this healing thing started, that was such a new concept to us anyway. And so she would say, well, this is what, it just started seeing a trend. And she started saying after several people, it was meaning the same thing. These different parts of the body were meaning the same thing. And it was just a few. And she would come in, she's like, well, this is what they're saying this means, like maybe the knees and like you're saying, different parts. And I was like, man, that makes sense. That's right. Logical in an illogical way. And because of my nursing background, I love the body. I absolutely love the body. And stuff like that, to make it make sense in this way, just was just poetry to me, And so then I was like, okay, well, and so then I'm kind of looking at it like a language. I said, well, if that means that, then, and then what you're saying is this, then something here would mean this, and things that she hadn't even come up with. I was thinking, so I was coming up with some others. And then sure enough, right after that, somebody would come up to me, and just start talking to me and telling me about their aches and pains or whatever. And I'm just like, and I said, well, so is this going on in your life? And I'm like, how did you know? Are you psychic? Like, no, you're transparent. I mean, and that's when I started testing that, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's exactly how it works. I mean, this is a language. You just have to understand the translation. Yeah. And that was it. And it's amazing. Like I said, and then people are like, you must be psychic. It's no, you're just very transparent. And then it gets to a point, it's like, stop talking unless you want me to know everything going on in your life, because it's revealing.
Yeah. Yep. Now Jason's scared to talk.
Oh no, we still got more fun left. Another cool thing was, I like your story about how you felt the need to write this book, and that's an interesting story too.
Yeah, I'd be in the back. Like I said, she was coming home from sessions and telling me these things. So then as she's teaching the class, but this was early on in the teaching, and so these are just starting to come in, and she's telling the students about, well, this is what I'm finding, and then the students are saying, well, do you have this in a book? And she's, no, I'm too busy to write another book. It's all fine, but I'd be in the back of the room working, right? And I would get this little tap on the head, and I'm like, and they said, this is your book. You need to write this book. I'm like, well, okay, fine, but it's mom's stuff. So I went to her afterwards, after the class. I said, well, this is what's happening. This is the message I'm getting. And I said, but this is your material, so how about we write this together? Because that makes sense. And she's, oh, no, this is your book. So
you couldn't get her suckered into doing it?
No, she had several. She's always working on at least 3 at a time. So I was like, no, I couldn't do that. So then as I kept going, I mean, every single class, I mean, they would be doing that to me. I'm like, okay. And then I'd hear what they're saying, and I'd be writing notes. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with this, right? And then I wouldn't do anything. The next class, they'd do the same thing. and they give me all this information. I write it down, and I started comparing notes. It was the same stuff they were giving me, so it was something important. I don't remember what it was now. It might have been the introduction or the beginning of the book or something. But it was like, this is how you start it. Anyway, I just kept, it's funny you say I felt like the need to write it. I did, but I resisted because I didn't understand. I think it's just my nature is to resist, or it was my nature. We're working on that.
Yes.
I'm changing that. It was to resist everything. And my nose, here goes that nose thing.
Let's
That's the whole.
read this book. Nose. Oh, yeah. Nose.
It's about to get real in here. It's about to get real. Funny.
So anyway, so they just kept on pushing me. It's like, you got to do this. But then in the classes, when she would tell people I'm working on that book, people would come to me and they'd say, oh, well, I've got this wonderful book that you need to go look at. And it's got, it's other people doing the same thing. And I think, well, if all these other people are doing this, why do I need to do it? I mean, that does not make sense to me. Why do we need another book on the shelf about the same thing? And then that's when they said, none of the other books, most of the other books are really big and intricate, and they're really just resource books. You're not going to absorb them internally and know the process. They're just something you're going to go to outside of yourself to get the answers. Then they also said that they don't have the process. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what they told me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, fine. I finally consented that I would do this, but I still put it off. And I dragged my feet and stuff. Finally, about the time, this is interesting, Tracie, you said it was the end of 2012 that we met.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember working on this book in Hawaii. That was there's a deer out there. Oh, cool. Anyway, I'm like, I kept seeing something.
She's a little more advanced. With me, it's a squirrel, but with Julia, it's the deer.
Anyway, so it was earlier in 2012. They had given me the message. They said, "Look, you have 1 year. 1 year." To get this book finished. And if you don't, we're taking it away. We're giving it to someone else. Now, that got my attention.
Motivator. That
motivated me. I had it done. Like, if we were doing that at the end of 2012. The book was out February of 2013. So I was finishing it there in Hawaii.
Nice.
Which was a very cool place to be doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Little motivation.
So as far as, yes, I saw the need for it, but I was still resisting and dragging my feet and doing all my human things. But
yeah.
I still love me.
Absolutely.
She is part human.
I always wanted to know, did your mom ever say anything like about your book? Like would she read it and say, you shouldn't put this, you should put that?
Yeah, yeah, she helped me. Like, we would go back and forth. I would write it and then I'd give it to her and see what she thought about it. And then she's like, okay, I think you need a little more here. This looks good. And she would just help kind of do the finishing, polishing touches on it. But yeah, she and I would write it and she would kind of edit and do that and then come back and it's like, okay, do a little bit more here or whatever. But
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure she was very happy and proud of you.
Well, that's something to ask me. I would like to think so. Yeah, I was very happy and proud of her, and we worked well together. We were a good combo. And I know more, now about how much I appreciate and respect, and I was always told that would be the case, but, you think, because we were together so much. It was like 24/7 for 10 years, just on all these trips and doing these classes and working together and doing everything. And so, you spend that much time with somebody, you touch nerves, you hit things like that, but it's still, the relationship was just very, very strong, and we really worked well together. I miss her terribly now in the 3D. I know I have access to her at any time, but we used to talk almost every night, and that was that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
we
amazing.
had some really cool metaphysical talks.
I imagine. Yeah, that would be fun.
It'd be like, so what y'all talked about last night? Oh, what you want to know?
Oh, it got to be, it's like I kept saying, we need to have a recorder going whenever we are two in the room, because the most amazing stuff would come out, and then we try to remember it later.
Yeah. I've had conversations like that with friends too, where it's like, oh, I wish we would have recorded that.
Some good stuff right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Ozark Mountain, that's where your book is published. That is, your mom helped create that? That's
Yes.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that was, and that was a long story in itself, but my father actually started that. They were going through a lot of publishers, and publishers just kept going out of business, doing things like that, and just running off and stuff. But then finally they were like, what are we going to do now? And Mom had quite a few books out, and it was like, well, let's just start our own. And that was at a time when this was not normal to just start your own publishing company and have other people's books. I mean, now it's more, people have them at their ebooks, or they're more on the fly. This isn't, where all the things are done in-house. It's editing, it's book setting, all that stuff. So it was all done at a time when it was very unusual, and it was all groundbreaking. But that's the kind of stuff that they're used to doing. I mean, they're always doing things that you're not supposed to be able to do.
Right.
So that's what I grew up with.
The family motto.
Mm-hmm.
Roll up the sleeves and get it.
Do it anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a green light. Can't be done. Okay.
Let's just see about that.
So what would they do? They would just contract a publisher to produce the books and mass?
No, we were the publisher.
Like you physically printing the books?
No, that we contract with a printer.
Okay.
To print the books, but we did all the publishing. We did all that part, of it. The editing, the typesetting. Now it's just simple on a computer, but back then it was a lot more to it.
Oh yeah.
And then it goes to a printer.
I can imagine.
It's very different now than it used to be. It is so different. It's so easy now. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think Amazon can print your own books.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what's, anybody.
A whole nother battle right there.
How long did it take you to write this book? How long?
I would say from the beginning, from the very first, where I first tap whatever, to being completed, it took between 6 and 7 years. And it's not a very big book. It's like there was no excuse. But the thing was, and what I want people to understand is, because it wasn't like it was really hard and I was trying all that time and not, all this. It was me dragging my own feet and resisting. I was the one. I was the issue. Once they said, hey, 1 year, that motivated me, and I sat down, and it all just flowed. It just kept going. Once I sat down and started doing it, it just did it. It pretty much wrote itself. And I people will compliment me on the book all the time, and sometimes I'm like, I have a hard time taking compliments sometimes, but not with the book, because I know that, I was the channel for it. It just came through me. It wasn't me. I happened to be the one doing the typing.
Yeah.
There's parts of it that I had to dig in. Like I said, we had things from sessions, and where we had actual cases, what they were, and other things that we didn't have cases to show. Then I actually energetically crawled into the disease process, or the whatever it was, to understand its message. Now that I will take claim for, because that was a really interesting experience, because everything has this different feel, and it has something it wants to say. And that's what I encourage people to do, is understand everything is energy. And if you will just get energetically and go into that process, you will understand. That will be even clearer what it wants to say to you.
Yeah. Why is it there? What's the intention behind it? Yeah. Do you have a plan of doing more books?
I do. If Tracie will keep pushing me.
That's been my assignment. They don't tap her anymore. Now they tap
Tracie. And then Tracie goes, where are you on this?
Absolutely.
I keep getting different assignments, and plus I'm still working on, I have one, and there's probably more of Mom's material that she had left when she passed. She had 3 books in different stages. We've gotten 2 of them out already, and this is the 3rd one. And then she has some other but these are very rough, shape. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done on them. And then mine, I just keep getting assignments. This is what you need to do. And it's like, okay, I guess it's going to go online. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I
There's
just,
some more coming.
yeah. And I know it's me when things are, because the only thing that blocks anything is me. So, and I'm just out with it here. I mean, anybody, if you find you're having issues with things, with trying to produce and trying to do, look at yourself, look at what's going on within you, because I guarantee you, it's with you. It's just mirroring. It's just mirroring what you've got going on inside.
I think we need to put a headset on Buddy because he keeps wanting to make an appearance here.
Hi, buddy.
What you doing, buddy?
He's so sweet, looking right into the camera.
Yes. No. Now he's going to look away.
Come on, buddy.
It's like, it's going to steal my soul, and he ran. I went.
Would this be Convoluted Universe Book 6?
Well, that would be, yes, that's some other books that I am wanting to, or I will do. It'll be compiling practitioners' session stories, just like Mom put in her Convoluted Universe books. It will be compiling other stories that the practitioners are still getting in their sessions, just more and more material, because this strange and unusual events, they didn't stop when Mom passed.
Right.
They're still going on. We're still evolving. We're still discovering more and more. And so as I get material from the practitioners, then I'll be putting those into more books. So in other words, the Convoluted Universe series will continue.
Nice.
And also, if you're a practitioner and you're listening to this video and you have a story you would like to submit,
just get it to me or the office, and they'll get it to me. And because you will get full credit for it, it will be in a Convoluted Universe book with Mom's name on it, but it will, because there's still some material that she has that I want to put out there, but it's not enough to put all in one book herself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that would be exciting, because every day I'm hearing stories of what the practitioners are getting, and it's amazing. It's the same thing. It's the same way when Mom would come in. It's like, guess what I found out today? And it's just our ever evolving and ever expanding universe is just, it's amazing. It's something that we want to know, and it helps us. I mean, we're all growing as we learn these things. So I'll do the same thing Mom did. She put it out there in books because she thought, well, if I'm interested in this and I've never heard of it before, maybe somebody else would enjoy this as well. So I just want to continue that on.
I know I
right.
do.
Yeah.
I'm book number 5, so I know I enjoy it. I mean, I was going through a phase where I wasn't even watching TV. Mm-hmm. Saturday, Sunday, 4 or 5 hours, reading it almost straight. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like, forget TV. The stuff in these books is look, puts all that to shame,
You can't touch it.
Yeah, I mean, you want stuff to blow your mind, and as your mom used to say, bend your mind like a pretzel.
Pretzel, yes. Mind bending.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like making pizza dough.
Really, we're stretching.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does. And sometimes it's like, you may not understand it fully, but it does make you think. And that's really what her objective was. It's just keep an open mind and just see. I mean, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to, put on the center. Just let just think, because it does. That's what it'll do. It's like, whoa, could this be possible?
Oh yeah. I mean, just the stuff that people had from other lives on other planets, spaceships and robots and other alien beings. It's like, wow. And it's pretty
life in other
a lot
forms.
of details too.
Yeah, life in other forms. I mean, that's a lot for people. Some people, I think we're getting now, because when she first was getting that was such a foreign concept. You mean it's possible that we were something other than humans on Earth?
Right, exactly.
I think people now, because of TVs and movies and all that, and those are for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there.
Mm-hmm.
So
seeds.
exactly, and so that's helping people to where they're more accepting of the ideas that we could have been, or at least there is stuff out there. Now, whether we are them or not, that could be another thing that takes a little bit for them to grasp, but that's what it is. We've all had these experiences.
Yeah. And I think there's been enough people coming forward now. I don't know if they call them whistleblowers or what they are, military figures that have come through and have admitted to having interaction with ETs, aliens, ships, all the different things, and really bringing in a lot of confirmation for the stuff that's in the books.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, if people want to dig into it, they can find the information. It's
There
up.
are some shows, I can't remember right offhand, but I've seen recently, and it's like, I would almost guarantee they have read Mom's books because those things are just coming right out of her books.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be they're coming from other sources too, because that's how it works when it's time. They'll come from many different areas, but it's just so right in line with her material. I wouldn't doubt it if they're just finding a way to get those things out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, I even did a video explaining convoluted universe. In my mind, it's like you had the movie Lucy, Valerian, The Matrix, and maybe Star Wars or Star Trek, all put in one. Think of all those movies and put it all into one movie, and that's kind of like what you get, you know?
Okay, I haven't seen two of those.
Really? Which ones?
Lucy and Valerian.
Oh my God, you have to watch those.
Yeah, especially Valerian.
Yeah, Valerian will.
Valerian V.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I'll send you a link later.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to.
You'll want to see that one.
Yes.
Yeah, because it deals with other dimensions, and you don't really see that in movies, you know, where
it's the collective. It's a galactic collective of, yeah.
Yes, I will. Yeah, send it to me so I can watch it tonight.
And just Lucy kind of reminds me of like different ways of like, even though in this movie she takes a pill, a powder, and it makes her smarter. She can see within your body and see different frequencies and so on. And it kind of reminds me things in the book, you know, like they can see different wavelengths and different, you know, like what's going on in the body and, you know, signals and so on. And I was like, man, that reminds me of that movie Lucy. So
yes, yeah.
I think of that movie all the time. Yeah. Especially the point where she walks outside and she can see all of the frequencies coming to the cell phones, to the devices.
Yeah, that was cool.
To the buildings, and she can just see every line of frequency coming around. And the trees, she'd look at the tree and she could see the energy moving through the tree.
Because that happens in sessions a lot, you know.
Yeah.
You're in that space where you can sense things like that. You're able to see things differently, and you can see that dimension. It's a frequency.
Well, and then she taps into like the source energy itself, doesn't she, in there, and just becomes part of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to see it.
Sounds
time
like
travels a little bit.
Yeah.
You say time travel?
Yeah, she goes to all the way back to the beginning.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Name of the movie is Lucy, and I think they go back to the ape that they found.
Oh, okay. The ape. Okay, the very first. That's supposed to be the first. Is that like the?
Yeah, that first human. So I think that was like a little hidden message in that movie that they were trying to do. I think.
Yes, things like that. So they're doing things. Yeah, they're reminding me how it's just a matter of us being aware, because they're doing things constantly, trying to get us to understand, to know more. I mean, they're putting the information out there in front of us. Just be aware. I mean, we're picking it up, most of us subconsciously, but if you'll just be a little bit aware, you'll see consciously exactly what's going on. And it's nothing, it's not like a conspiracy or anything like that. It's about us becoming more aware, us knowing more, us shifting dimensions, us, you know, it's things like that. And it's more it's happening whether we're conscious of it or not. This is a way of us to be conscious of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're not caught off guard and surprised.
Right. Yeah.
Is there any practitioner sending you any information now? Any QHHT practitioners? Right.
Yeah. As I go, it's mostly whenever I go through a class, like in a level 3 class, I've got to look at their material to be able to pass them. And so that's when I get to see it right then. Otherwise, I mean, they need to send it to me, and that, you know, they're just not thinking about it. And so there I have it, and I've got something I like. I'm like, I ask if I can have permission to do something with it. And then so I am starting to collect that way. But it would be even more wonderful if people would just start sending me things so I have more collection. Because it takes,
Yeah, because she needs something else to do. She's bored.
Absolutely, I'm bored. I'm just nothing to do. Tracy is, kicking me. It's like, do something, do something. So,
You just pulled in 6 different directions.
She just sits there in her living room watching deer walk by the window.
yeah, I'd be on the porch
Send me a
doing
session.
it.
What's the best way to send you the information? Was it email?
Yeah, if they would just send it to the office. You can do info at QHHTofficial.com.
Okay.
Then they would get it to me.
And which you looking for video?
No, it just be transcriptions.
Transcript.
Okay. It could be audio. I mean, if they happen to have it in video, but that most sessions are not done in video. Right. If they happen to have if there happens to be something on there, fine. That usually sessions don't have a lot of visual. They're pretty much somebody just laying there.
Yeah.
Right.
You get their facial expressions, and those tell a lot. But other than that, it's the story. It's what's being said, what's audible. So we'll just take that and we'll transcribe it and go from there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I said video because my world is a little bit more video.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
even when it's audio, I have to make it into a video.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, because you're putting it on YouTube. So yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's just coming in. Maybe that's another way for us to do some of this. Is to put some of these sessions in a story format, kind of like in a video, and rather than it just being somebody laying there telling it, you've got kind of like the book format. It'd be like you have all these things happening, but now it's on video. It's being kind of reenacted or something.
Mm-hmm.
It would take a little bit to do it, but it could be really powerful.
That would be an amazing way to experience it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You should do that.
I think so. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Just put it on your list.
Okay.
Yeah, she's going to need an assistant for the assistant.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yep.
For Soul Speak, what's one of the amazing stories someone ever came to you? Doesn't have to be the most, but what's one of the stories that has like, wow, that was truly amazing story from someone?
So many about, gosh, and you're saying it right here. I have to go off the top of my head here. Because it's always anything, it's like when you do sessions, you're doing it and then you release it. And I don't hold on to, I work with people right then. It's always the aha, crying a lot of times. It's just because that's happening. Then they're releasing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know a lot of things with legs. Legs are a big one in the low, the back and stuff.
The hips, the legs.
Yeah, anything with the hips, the legs, the knees, the ankles, the feet. All of that is with this part of the body, that moves you. They call them locomotors. And when I say they, I'm talking about my higher self, or the collective, or universal consciousness. But they like to call that part, we call them legs, but they call them locomotors because they move us in our direction. They move us from point A to point B. So if you have something going on in that part of the body, it has something to do with you on your path. Either you've stopped, you're stuck, or you're moving in the wrong direction, or you're afraid, like some things with the feet. This is so literal. It's like you're like testing the waters. It's like you're just tipping, you're dipping a toe in, trying to test it, and you won't commit, you won't get fully in because you're just testing it. And they're like saying, just go, get in there, stop just monkeying around here. The knees, all these things always have to do with your path. Something to do with your path. And
right. Like you're not walking your path, or you're not going in the right direction, kind of thing.
Right. And many times it's, so many things, because things happen in life. We earlier on, or in a big part of our life, we're going gangbusters. We're just going for it and stuff. But then life starts happening. It starts we get beat down, sometimes, and then we just get where we're afraid or we're hesitant to take that next big step. So because we get knocked down sometimes, and so that's again, we're afraid to step out. We're afraid to see how literal that is. We're afraid to move, and so that we start holding ourselves back, and that's where the big me, I call it big me, but the higher self is saying, hey, this is where you need to go, take that move. Right. And so it's affecting your legs, telling your legs to move. So it's like, get going. But yeah, you might be stuck. You might have just stopped because of all the things that have happened, all the, the hits. We get hit. That's life. That's part of the experience.
Speaking of life, do you ever find past lives come in and affect people in a physical?
They can, absolutely. If something's on the left side of the body, it's coming from the past in this life or from another life. And so that's giving you a clue right there. And you'll find a lot of phobias, probably most all phobias come from another life. Many times it's the way you died in another life, and it's just residue. We call it residue that just carried over into this life.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah. Once you understand it, because I came in with a lot of phobias, and then early on I was the guinea pig for my mother. She was learning her techniques and she was just practicing. So,
I know. I kind of see Dolores like, whoa, Julia, come here.
Because I come home on, I was going to nursing school.
Oh, yeah, by the way, sit down.
Right. Well, I love that stuff. I was growing spiritually too, and it was just all fun to play, to work with. I'll say.
She thought her mom always talked with a rhythmic voice. She didn't realize that she was being.
No, actually, it was funny because after she would do it, she did it for a while. Then it became when I was just sitting there with her in the evening and we'd just be talking. I couldn't keep my eyes open because I've been regressed enough by her that her voice just, it was so hard to stay awake.
Yeah, I imagine that would be true. So
that's happening actually now with you, Tracie. I don't know if you've noticed that because we've done so many journeys together that now sometimes if we just keep talking, I find myself trying I'm bored. It's that voice. When you get enough work done with you by someone, going under.
and part of the suggestion is the sound of my voice will make you very comfortable and relaxed. Mm-hmm. And so the more we play. You spend a week with me in LA, you might start really relaxing when I talk to you. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, do I remember my question? Yes, I do. This book, it's so golden as a practitioner because it gives us so much information. We get into these sessions with our clients. We go into a past life that's mirroring something they're going through in this lifetime. What do you see happening with how this book works with QHHT and how the practitioners are able to use that in their sessions?
It really helps to know what questions to ask to help them explore through these things because they definitely have something going on in this life. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the issue. It's a message. It's always a message. So if they have something going on, there's something happening in their life. So they say, oh, no, everything's wonderful, a wonderful life. I love everything about it. But they might have, be supposed to be going in for heart surgery and have the beginnings of throat cancer and all this. Is like, no, your body is telling me something else.
Yeah.
The body does not lie. And so that's where then a session, it will help you to know what questions to ask, as far as how to explore, because it's deeper than just, they were in a car accident here and that made it so, or they twisted their ankle in playing tennis when they were younger or whatever. Because sometimes that's what they try to say. Oh, that's the cause of it.
Yeah.
No, that's not the cause of it. That was another message. So we got to get to the core of that. There was
and I just had somebody that had a neck injury from, I won't go into personal details, but there was a neck injury. Mm-hmm. And, using techniques from, or, just questions, mm-hmm. knowing what I know from the book, able to guide them through questions and looking deeper into the neck injury. A few days after the session, I'm getting this response that the pain's still gone. I'm still in awe of this
Right.
session.
It's about getting to the core of it. You got to the base. What was the message? That's the core. What was the message? Once you get the message, you understand it, then there's no longer a need for the message. It's been delivered. That was its only purpose.
Yeah.
To deliver a message. That was it.
I had one guy, and this was years ago, he was hanging on to shoulder pain because he was in a motorcycle accident and he was working on collecting money from the insurance company. And the doctors kept saying that should be healed by now. It should be healed by now. Turned out he was hanging on to that pain and hanging on to the injury and the trauma of it because he felt if he was going to get money from the insurance company, he needed to be in pain.
Sure. Yeah.
And once we cleared that from him, then he was able to let go of the pain and still get his insurance money. The injury was still there, you know, it still happened to him. But in his subconscious mind, he was convinced he needed to have the pain to justify getting the money from the insurance.
Right. And that happens a lot. It's like justification. It's like, you got to get to the base of it. What's, you know?
Yeah. So it's simple things that you may not have a clue you're even doing to yourself. You know, it was totally a subconscious belief system that, oh, if I'm going to get money, I should probably be in pain.
But see how powerful that is? And somebody might not see that as powerful, but it is because you're doing that yourself. So if you can do that, imagine what else you can do.
Yeah.
Yourself, because that's how strong and powerful the mind is.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. My little part when I tell people, it's like sometimes they don't believe in certain things. Like they don't believe that you can heal yourself, that your mind is powerful to where you can heal yourself. But once when I say, do you believe you can make yourself sick and that you can, you know, physically drain yourself and make yourself ill? Right. Everybody says yes. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You have the power to make yourself sick, then you have the power to make yourself better.
Right.
And that part sometimes
they don't want to believe in their power to that degree. They have no problem believing that they can create negative, and create. You know, it's like you can create certain ways. It's just the same as, and I'm going to go out here. This sometimes is a sore spot for people. Things that appear negative in your life, that may even appear like entities. That's just us doing that. And some people don't want to believe that we can create things like that. No, we just create the good things, or we just create, you know, we can create.
Why would I do that to myself, Julia? Why would I do that to myself?
Why would you make yourself sick? Why would you do these? Why would you do something like that? Why would you create something that appears to be a negative thing outside of yourself?
Yeah, and I've heard some really, really bad, you know, horrible stories, horrible childhood, and all of that kind of stuff. And I get it. I understand why you would be upset to find out that that's something you lined up in your path, or that you've, you know, that you're bringing into your own reality.
Yeah, and it's your fear. It's your, you know, it's most like 9 times out of 10, it's your fear. But it's something that you have to look at and you have to work with. And your higher self is saying, hey, you know, if you're not willing to look inside of yourself at it, then we're going to put it outside here for you to look at. And you created this. Your higher self is you. It's just a bigger part of you. So this is you, your team, working together to help you grow. And these are experiences you're having to help you always grow and be more, you know, and then understand how powerful you are. And so it's understanding. I mean, we look at these things, and it's fear. You know, I did that. You do this, so you will look at it. You have to look at it. But the beautiful thing about fear is once you look at it, because that's its big thing, is it's all spooky and horrible as long as it's in the dark. You know, once you shine light on it and you look at it and you literally, this is one of them I did for the book. It presented itself, and first you want to look away. We're afraid of fear, right? This stuff is scary. We create it scary so we won't look at it. But if you will just look at it and look it in the eyes, it will go away. You just need to look at it. You will understand it for what it is at that point.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, if you will understand that you are powerful enough to create. We're okay with saying, okay, yeah, I can create the good stuff, but we don't want to say we created the bad stuff. Well, it's creation. Everything's our creation. We are powerful. We create all of this, but when you understand that you created, or we are each creating our own little world of good and bad, we'll say positive and negative, whatever you want to call it, light and heavy, whatever. When you understand that, then we understand the power we have. Okay, I don't have to keep creating this. I understand it now. It was just doing that because I wouldn't look at it. Now I get it. I look at it, and now that can be done, and we can move into positive areas.
And it literally loses its power in that moment.
It just goes away. It presented itself to me as, I'm trying to think if it was fear or if it was cancer. Which one did, as like the little it on, was it the Addams Family? That
Yes.
had it, you know, it was like the
Cousin
hair.
It.
I can't remember if that was, which one it was. But anyway, but yeah, I just had to look it in the eyes. And when I did, it wasn't scary anymore. It was more like sad and pitiful. And so then it was a different emotion there. And
You know,
that
that makes me think of other sessions that I've had where maybe there's an abusive parent that you're really scared of, or that really traumatized you growing up.
Yeah.
And then you get into the session and you stand there and look at the parent through source's eyes. And what does that parent need? What did that parent need that they didn't get? And when they start looking at it, the parent, like they're almost like they're the child, and
Right.
seeing what they didn't get that made them maybe behave in the way that they have, it's the same thing. Then it goes from being fearful of that person to actually holding compassion and love for them, and even sending them prayers or whatever they feel appropriate to heal that person from the trauma they had.
You get an entirely different perspective.
Yeah.
Everything. And that shifts.
Powerful.
That's what it's all about. And that's why it was happening in the first place.
Yeah.
It's presenting itself outside of you so you could get a different perspective and look at it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Powerful.
Do you have an example of someone that had fear, like an example, in case people make sure they're doing the right process? Like that this person had this type of symptom, it was fear, and then what did they do to help with that?
Well, I could even say myself, that was like a huge thing I had to, and I think it was way before I ever wrote this book. And so I knew, it was interesting, at that time, I knew something was going to be happening where I needed to know all the disguises of fear, because that's what I was being shown, because fear takes on many, many disguises. It appears in ways you wouldn't imagine. And so I was presented that way. So it was really more of, it was like being able to recognize it sooner and sooner. And then as soon as I did, then I didn't react, you know, because we tend to react. We are afraid of fear, right? It's like,
Yeah.
You know, something, that's what's there, is to scare us. And so as soon as I would realize, oh, this is fear, and then I would look at it. So I was doing that even before I got to this part in the book of, oh, gotta look at it and stuff. I was doing that for myself. And that was the situation I was in. It was to teach me that. As soon as I got to where it was an immediate reaction, when fear presented and my reaction was different, I didn't go the scared route. I went to the, you know, let's look at this. Then the situation I was in was no longer needed, because it was there to teach me that.
Now, you looked at it physically, or you looked at it with your mind's eye, or?
I looked at it within. It was like I knew, well, it was a physical situation, but I had to look beyond it. It's like get to the core of it. You know, again, you get past the surface, because
Where's this fear coming from?
It's presenting one way, and you just have to realize, oh, this is just fear, and it's to see what my reaction is to it. And so as soon as I got to go on that, first it was like maybe a day or so before I realized that. And then little by little, it got faster and faster until when it was finally within minutes, I knew, oh, fear, nope. And so then it's no longer a game. I learned it, I figured it out, and now it's not needed anymore, because I learned what I needed to learn from it.
Interesting.
What I want you to know is there are a lot of guises for fear.
Absolutely. You mentioned cancer, and you have you mentioned it in your book, and you kind of have a great answer to what cancer is, and I think that will
Absolutely.
benefit a lot of people.
Yes. And if they will be honest with themselves, it will benefit, because that's really what it comes down to. Cancer is anger. Just simple, that's the way it is. It is anger. It's anger that they're holding in. There's a word, it's not coming to me right now, but it's just where they're holding it in. They will not talk about it. They need to talk about it, but they won't talk about their feelings. And that's the whole reason. That's why it's there. It's why it's manifesting, because it's like, this is stuff. This is a bunch of junk you're holding in. You need to release it. You need to talk about it, but they're just holding it in. They feel like, oh, everybody else has got the problem. It's not me. And so that's the way it is. They're holding it all in. Now, where the cancer is will tell you what they're angry about. That's the golden part of it right there. Because otherwise, they're going to say, no, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. Where it is telling you what they're angry about.
Interesting.
So, examples. A big one that's a lot of people, it's a big one. It's a breast cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. So you look at, what do the breasts represent? What do they do? What do they represent?
Nourishment.
Nourishment, nursing.
Life.
Say that again.
Life.
Life.
Yeah.
There's a nurturing. That's the word I'm wanting. Nurturing. Yeah, because it's like nourishment. Yeah, it's nurturing. So you look, okay, and then again, depending on what side it's on, will tell you if it's something going on right now or if it's something from the past. Okay. So let's say it's nurturing. Maybe they never felt nurtured when they were little or somewhere in their life in their past. And so that's carried through, and then maybe it's reflecting in a situation they have now. Maybe they have a spouse or they have a situation that's pulling in the same things that they had before. And so that's what's telling them, look, this comes from back here. You know, you got to look at what was going on in your life, and then they're either not feeling nurtured, something's going on. Another one where there's cancer is in the uterus, okay, in the cervix, things like that. We're picking on the female body right now, but this is showing you how literal it is. The female, like the female organs. I mean, what happens in the uterus?
Babies.
Babies, exactly. You create. That's the creation zone. All right. So quite literally, either they may be having issues with having children, or they're having issues with not feeling like they can be creative. Maybe they're in a relationship that's thwarting that, or they're in a situation that's thwarting that ability to be creative. And then they get angry about it. But they're not going to show anybody that they're angry. They're just going to hold it in and just be their good little self. And they're not going to talk about their feelings. They're not going to talk about anything, because that's just not right. But meanwhile, they're holding it in, and their body's trying to yell and say, hey, we got to do something. But see, they're mad about it, but they won't talk about it. Throat cancer. What did we say the throat was?
Not speaking your truth.
Yeah, not speaking the truth.
There's something you need to say, and you're not saying it, and you are angry.
Right. Like that person's holding back.
Yes, very much so. So see how really that's what I'm saying. It's simple. It's easy to understand. And then if you'll look at it, you have to, all emotions removed. That's where you have to go with this. These are messages. This is simple as far as this is the higher self. Just trying to deliver messages through the body. And if you can look at it that way, that helps to get to that place of where you've detached from it. And when you're in that place, it's much easier to understand the messages and to do something about it. When you're emotionally invested in it, you're so close, it's hard to see what's going on. So you got to kind of pull back and definitely allow the emotions to a little space there so you can work with it.
Wow, interesting. I know your book's on Amazon, and I'm going to have a link below for the Amazon link. But where else if someone's interested in your book, where else can they get it?
At the publishing company, the Ozark Mountain Publishing. And the website there is Ozark, MT for mountain, So it's OZARKMT.com.
Okay. And I'll have that link in the description as well.
Okay.
So,
Super. Well, thank you.
yeah, absolutely. I see it
And
right there.
I'd be looking for a future class on this as well.
Absolutely. I was going to mention that's where I'm being prodded. You're saying about books and everything. I'm really being prodded to do a course on Soul Speak, on helping
Oh,
to
wow.
really get into it and help people understand how to work with it, just like we're talking about. But it's really getting into the nuts and bolts and how to just determine it in all these different aspects and fully understand how to work with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a physical course, or is it going to be online?
It'll be online.
Online?
And if I have anything to do about it, it will be a physical course
Yes.
offered with QHHT training.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now I do parts of it in the class, but
Mhm.
this will be like a whole.
It needs its own day. Yeah, it just needs its own course because it's so important to practitioners to know this information, how to work with it. It's so valuable. So
Absolutely.
that's my job.
I think it's a good step. Yeah, that is her job. She's a good poker.
Absolutely.
What have you done today? What have you done today?
Yeah, if not,
What
you can
you
always do it as an option. You know, if you can't squeeze it into the regular course, you can always do it as an option at the end of the course. Yeah.
That's the
what we're
plan.
talking about. Yeah, doing
Mhm.
something like that.
Very
So
nice.
we're good. Yeah, if Tracie has anything to say about it, it will be done.
Oh,
Sooner
yeah.
than later.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually a little disappointed, like a parent with their child, that it isn't already part of the course or part of being offered.
Don't tell me you're disappointed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, young lady.
You want to get to me. That's how you get to me.
Tracie, did you give her a year to get this done?
I'm going to give her 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, 6 months. It's going to be offered in January of 2020. It'll be offered with all of the QHHT training courses and also offered online.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
6 months is good because I see it there soon. So,
Right.
but it's a matter of doing it. So that's where the 6 months it's got to be done by then.
Only you had somebody to remind you every day to do this.
Yeah, only.
I think Tracie's up for the challenge on that one.
Yes, I think she raised both hands when she.
Like I said,
Absolutely.
I think they gave Julia's head a break, and now it's mine. So
Yeah, she does. She contacts me. She's okay. What's going on? I've been getting a lot of taps.
yeah, it's a magical journey. It's been happening for a few years now. Yeah, it used to be we'd go maybe a couple of months, and then I'd be like, okay, something's going on. I feel like I'm supposed to pop in and say hi, and then we talk, and sure enough, there's something that needed to be talked about. And now it's like 2 days go by.
Pretty soon it'll be 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's like just stay on the line.
And this nose thing, we got to address it
Yeah.
because I don't know people think whatever. This is something that started happening recently when Tracie and I would be talking, and all of a
Just
sudden
diagnosed this right now. When did this start?
it just goes crazy. And somewhere, it came up in a session. I mean, I've been hearing different things about the nose, but I think what we discovered is it has to do with the frequency. So something about, I think when we are talking on this higher level or this other level, something that's how it's affecting. And then that's one way of us knowing is this nose goes crazy.
Well, and we've definitely been going into other frequencies because I get that same lightheaded feeling I do when the channel comes in. It's been happening this whole time, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. When that comes in, I detect it.
It's your channel detector.
Exactly.
So yeah, they are behaving today, although they have come through a couple of times, and I know you heard it the way that I speak, and I'm like, back out.
But that's what they do. They just, and it's getting so much anymore that it's so easy that they just slide right in. And sometimes, like I was always trying, it's like, okay, this isn't me speaking, just so I can let people know. But sometimes it's so fast, it switches back and forth. There's not time to do that. And so I think it's where we are now. That's what they're saying. We are as a humanity. That's what they want us to be. It's like, just this is us we're allowing in. or just allowing
It
one.
is, yeah.
And so just allow it. This is the part of us, this is where we're growing and expanding. It's just more of that. So it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing foreign. It's just us.
Yeah, the channel that I bring in is so much. The vibrations of the two of us have merged so much that there is really, it's
Right.
one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's just.
Are you
the
having
voice.
that happen too, Jason?
I don't know. Some of the stuff that I come up with, it's kind of weird because, I mean, I'm going to mention Atlantis, but, you know, some of the stuff I was putting together as I was just throwing it up as a story. And then come to find out I'm reading books and I'm listening to other people's sessions and videos. It's like, oh, wait a minute, that's kind of true, you know? And at first I was just putting pieces together.
Right.
And then, you know, we talked about, me and Tracy, we talked about this symbol.
She
And
was showing me that the other day and how that's come up in several different things. So that's really, really interesting.
so I,
Very
I
powerful.
drew that.
Little symbol there.
Yeah. So I drew that when I was younger and I just thought it was a cool symbol. And I just,
When you were younger.
When he was a child.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That was the mind-blowing part.
Yeah, young teenager about that age. And I was just at school and I was like, well, I'm just going to draw this triangle and I'm just going to put these lines on it. I'm going to put another triangle underneath that too. Oh, that looks cool. I'm going to put some lines. And that was it. And then I was looking for a logo for the other YouTube channel. And I was like, man, how can I explain this to this guy that's going to make this drawing for me? I was like, this guy's in Pakistan. I Google it and I'm like, let me see if I can find something similar. And I find a crop circle with this image on it. I'm like, what are the odds of that? You know? So
How cool.
another thing I always wanted to tell you that even when I was reading Convoluted Universe, the books, you know, there's so much stuff I don't even know. And I'm getting into it more and more. And they started talking about crystalline DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know a little about that.
A little bit. Yeah, I'm learning.
No, she does.
Oh, okay.
Well, we all do.
I'm watching a YouTube video and they started talking about it. I'm like, man, what is this crystalline DNA, crystallized? I was like, what is this? And sure enough, 2 or 3 days later, I'm reading the book and it talks about it.
Of
It's
course.
like, what are the odds of that happening? You know,
That's how that happens.
100%.
Yeah, that will always.
In our
You'll
world.
read it and you'll see something, or you'll see something and you'll read it. And it's just to confirm for you, this is real.
Yeah.
It
absolutely.
That symbol he draws is linked to the new Earth.
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
supposed to be a 5D symbol and that we're going to be using in the future, and deals with transportation, manifestation. So raising your frequency.
Well, I was kind of thinking it looks a bit like the Merkaba, which is a transportation device.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we're going to know how to create that frequency and transport ourselves to wherever we want to go.
Fantastic. So they haven't given
physical. It's supposed to be a physical energy symbol. So
okay.
And that's when Tracy's guides were like laughing. Yes, it's real. Yes, it's physical. Well, it's energy physical.
It's energetic.
Like, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Have you gotten indications of how to work with it?
We have to be in that fifth dimensional and above frequency before we're going to be able to work the energy. We can't have access to it in the 3D and 4D. It's a 5D and above kind of a frequency. But once we hit that, then it's like that memory comes back to us on how to use it.
I was going to say, but why were you given that? You were shown that symbol and you were given it. Was there a reason for that?
No, other than me just drawing it one day.
And
just drew it.
Remember?
I think we need to regress, Jason.
I think so too. Because there's a reason for it. I mean, if 3D can't use it, although we aren't in 3D anymore, but
right.
Is it like a reminder? Is it something to go, hey, look into this further? Maybe we're closer to the frequency that can use it than we think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
I'm hearing experiment. Yes, that's Don't be afraid to start trying things.
If you get that figured out, Jason, come get me.
All right, we'll come pick you up.
Well, then we'll go get, well, you could get Julia first. She's closer. Then come get me. And we'll head over to see Sarah over in
Key West.
Yep. Yeah, we're all about this. And I encourage people to experiment, do these things. There's nothing to be afraid of. Well, remember, the only thing that's fearful, that looks fearful, is your stuff that you need to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, so this stuff is all about growing and expanding. And like this is other dimensional. So that's where we're going. That's where everybody, when are we going to get there? Well, you get there by working with this stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're the ones creating.
You don't have to wait. It's right here.
No, don't wait for something to happen. We're the ones, it's all our creation. So what kind of a 5D world do we want?
Yeah. We want one with a little device that we can just bounce ourselves over to see each other.
Absolutely.
I've been wanting, I mean, every time I'm on that plane going someplace, another country.
There's an easier way.
There's 17 hours, exactly. There's got to be. I'm really, I want that device.
Right.
That device would
Absolutely.
be fantastic.
It even goes back to Edgar Casey. They said in your video, matter of fact, the channeling, it said that this symbol, this energy device, has been around for almost forever, right? And it's kind of like, even in Edgar Casey's book, they're like telling the person to go travel somewhere, to go somewhere and to go visit a certain site. And they were like, well, I can't just go there. I have to buy a plane ticket. I have to do this. I have to do that. And I'm sorry, it was the Crystal Skulls book, and the person was channeling the Crystal Skull, and they're like, oh yes, we forgot that you don't have the resources to manifest travel like you used to. And it's like they were remembering stuff that was easier to travel, and maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna get waken up to, but we need Jason because he knows how to program the crystals from Atlanta.
Yeah, that's another story that I was shown or given.
Awesome.
So
well, see, that's why all that information is coming back now, is because it's needed, it's necessary.
Yeah.
We're just bringing back our memories or things that we used to do because they're necessary now for us to progress. We didn't do it quite so good before. So now, and these are all of our abilities that we had before in Atlantis or in these ancient civilizations. So we're just bringing them back to help and to do it all in a more positive way. Mission accomplished this time. So.
Yes.
Yeah, each one of us has our own little role to play.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
I agree. Yeah. And part of that is getting this message out to everyone.
Well, and something like I was going to say, well, so many people are back here now from Atlantis. And didn't you say that you had that message in a session, like from the class that you both were in? And
your level 2 class. Yeah,
we're all back from Atlantis.
And it's in your Convoluted Universe.
Right.
Mom's book.
So many people. Yeah, they're exactly.
They say that.
You said it right. It's because that's why you'll see a lot of similarities in things that are happening now as to what happened in these other times, is because it's like the stage is set. Now we can, now what are we going to do this time?
Right. It's like, here's your second chance.
And if you notice, I mean, really, so many people say, well, I don't understand. I don't think anything's happening. Where's when's this earth shift going to happen? When's all these things going to happen? But if you'll go back 10, 15 years and then look back.
Absolutely.
You will see that things have dramatically shifted and how people are so much more earth conscious and they're about taking care of things rather than, because before that, it wasn't there. We just did our stuff. We weren't caring, about how we were
plastic bottles and
exactly.
Yeah, it's all about the money and the dollar and the product and convincing you needed more product and And
there's still a lot of that there, but there's a huge shift in the other. I mean, it's
that's true.
Huge.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when my mom was upset that the recycling program was put on hold for 3 months. I'm like, Mom, you upset? I'm like, usually you didn't care. It's like,
Yeah,
now
you
she
know you're doing something. I feel good every time I go to the recycling center. I know I'm doing something to help.
Mm-hmm.
That much less it's going into the landfill.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I notice around here, you know, actually tomorrow's garbage day, and it's the recycle bins, you know, and I have a family of 4, and we use the smallest garbage can we can, and most of the stuff goes into the recycle bin, and you know, you could tell who's conscious and who's not because they got the smaller garbage cans in a full recycle bin, and then you got the ones with the gigantic garbage can and maybe didn't push their bin of recycle out at all.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's you can kind of see who's on board with it and who's not, but most people, almost everybody is really conscious about it now.
Yeah, it's really growing, and even in other countries. Therefore, well, I mean, some countries are way ahead of the United States, and then now almost every single country I go to, they'll have receptacles for recycling in the rooms, and that's been in just the last, well, definitely 10 years, but even 5 years.
Yeah, that's good.
That's huge. I mean, you might say, well, that's not a big deal. It is a big deal because when every person, you know, each person, one more person that does something, that's another shift.
Yeah. And when we can get absolutely everybody on board with just taking care of themselves, that's going to be golden.
Right.
And it seems so easy and logical, right? Just take care of yourself.
Well, everybody's always like, well, we need to affect, you know, we got to go to the top. We got to go get the governments. We got to do this. And that's the only way we can make change happen. But we can't do anything on that level. The only level that we can do anything, we have any control over, is right here, ourselves.
Yeah.
So just make changes in your world, make changes in our very own world. And then that affects others by example and whatever, but that ripples out.
Well, and here's another,
eventually it'll get there, but
here's another thing with that. You take care of yourself. I take care of myself. I do the reality I want to create right here with me. And then what starts getting mirrored back to me? That reality. So then everything around me now is that same thing that I'm vibrating out, that same thing that I'm doing for myself and creating within myself. And so my reality will be that reality where everybody's doing it.
Yes.
Because that's the reality I'm creating, right?
Exactly.
And so this is what they talk about when we talk about going from a 3D to a 5D. When you start creating that fifth dimensional reality, when you start doing it for yourself, then you're going to attract the people around you that are also doing that. And then you have your 5D reality. And Julia, you've known me a long time now. You've known me when I worked the day job and did the night thing. And, you know, my reality was 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, and trying to be a single mom. So
I remember that one time we were doing a show and you were doing that in the first show that we did. And then the next show, which I think was a couple of years later, we were talking about manifesting. We were talking about something. I don't know if we were even talking about manifesting then. I think I was just talking about how I used to be working my home health nursing job, and I would help cover the office here, you know, the publishing company, for Mom when she would be traveling. I'd help cover the phones. And I just loved taking those phone calls, you know, because they were positive. They were just, it was wonderful to just talk metaphysics with people rather than the aches and pains and illnesses that I was getting in my job. And so, and I was like, well, it would be so nice to have a job, but that's all I did. Right. And then sure enough, it created, you know, here I was now in a job. That's my world.
Cool. Yeah. And I did the same thing. I literally had a conversation with one of my clients that said, when I was doing 2 jobs, and I said, I feel like I have a foot in both worlds. I come here and I get to do this work, and I feel like I'm in that new world, and I'm in that metaphysical bliss, and wonderful things are happening. And then the next day I'll go to the day job and I'm answering the phones and I'm dealing with real estate and I'm doing, you know, that kind of stuff. And then when I finally got, it's the same thing. I was like, I just wish I could always be in this world. Right. And, you know, the best part of it was my sister said, well, what do you need to do to make that happen? And it dawned on me, I never actually thought about that. I always thought about why it couldn't happen, right? I'm a typical manifester. all these reasons why it can't happen. So then all those reasons continue to manifest, right?
Right.
So she asked me, well, what do you need to make that happen? And I gave her a list of about 5 things that needed to happen. And next thing I knew, all 5 things happened.
Wow.
And I was able to quit my job and start doing this full time.
Mm-hmm.
So
What was some of the 5 things you remember by any chance?
I needed to get out of my car payment. I needed to have a cushion, a buffer financially to give myself a peace of mind when I left the other job, to know that I had a cushion of money. What was one of the other things?
Wow.
Those were the 2 big ones. I needed an office to work out of, or a space to work out of, because at the time, the one I had, I only had 1 day a week. I needed a new computer. Yeah, I had a laptop that maybe I would call a crap top once in a while, maybe. So that's at least 4 things. I'm sure there's another one in there. But anyways.
House. What did something to do with your house?
I don't think it was. I can't remember what the 5th thing was. Maybe I'll come in. But anyways, so I go over to my parents' house when this is the first thing that happened. So little backstory. I had an old motorhome too that the kids and I would take out maybe once a year. And it was like, we just never used it. And so I had that kind of sitting there too. But first thing that happens, I go over to Mom and Dad's, and they're going to get a new vehicle because Mom has a scooter and they have a little lift for it. So they need a van. But the dealership wouldn't trade in their car for what Dad wanted for it. And I said, well, what do you want for it? And he said $5,000. I said, I'll give you $5,000 for your car. And I said, but I'd have to sell mine. Well, mine I had like a $300 and some payment on, but I had it long enough that there was equity in it. You know, I had money in it. So I sold my car. He gave me $2,500 over what I owed on it, paid it off, took the $2,500, gave it to Dad. They went and got their van and gave me the car, and I was supposed to make payments on the car. Well, I go back to work the next day, and I'm sitting there at the desk waiting to answer phones and do my real estate stuff. And I'm hearing really clear, sell the motorhome. I'm like, oh, I guess I could try and sell the motorhome. Sell it today. Oh yeah, it was very clear. And I was like, so that day I got off work, I got in the car. I didn't go home. The motorhome was parked at my parents' house. So I went over there and I just backed up to the car up to it. And I just unloaded everything out of it and put it in to the back of the car. I mean, it filled the car. We had sleeping bags and all kinds of stuff in there. And I literally, while I was at work, printed a for sale sign on just a piece of paper. And I went and parked it, asked Dad if I could park it up front by the house there. And he said, sure. And he was laughing at me because he's like, well, how much are you going to ask for it? And I said, I literally told him, God told me 4,500. And he's like, good luck. So I stuck it out there. I put it online. Didn't even go in and clean it. I just literally parked it out there. I was exhausted at that point, went home. I had like 3 or 4 phone calls on it that night. And it was sold. I think that was on a Thursday, and it was sold by Saturday, and I got $4,000 out of it, paid off the car, didn't have a car payment.
Yeah.
And the start of a cushion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to do some stuff with the mortgage on the house to give me a buffer. And
that's where the house came in.
That's where the house came in. Yeah, the house was my buffer. And I can't remember what were the other. The office, the computer. I was able to get the computer I needed. I love my computer. The kids love my computer. They can't touch it, but they love it. Everything. It just all went, and I got it all set up. And
you identified it, so now, and then it all just went to work.
But I was just, the 2 main things was to get rid of that car payment. And then I consolidated all the debt. That was the other thing. Consolidate all the debt with the second mortgage, and then it gave me a buffer. And so my bills went from, I can barely handle it, to, this is okay. Mm-hmm. And I was able to lighten the load and start doing this. And the guy that I worked for actually had a position that I could do from home a couple hours a day. So I had a little bit of a buffer of income that I knew was coming in as well. So I was able to be home, able to do it all, get it going, get it started. So
But if you had just stayed with, I can't do it, I can't do it, there's no way I can do it, my whole world is just so crazy, I can't do it, you're just going to get more of I can't do it.
Yeah, I just keep manifesting that craziness, and that's what I was doing. I was manifesting that craziness.
Yeah.
It really is important to watch your story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how are you speaking? I had, I remember one day going to lunch with a couple of ladies, and one of them I was meeting for the first time. She says, well, tell me about you. And you know what? The first thing out of my mouth was, well, I'm a single mom. I work 2 jobs. And I stopped myself. I thought, that is not the story I want. This story is
the old story.
Yeah. And I heard my story, and it was like, it was so surreal in that moment that I was hearing my story of struggling. And, you know, because that is the point I was making. I'm single mom.
Yeah, I feel sorry for me. Look what I'm doing.
You know, woe's me.
Yeah.
So I really literally heard my story that day. And I was just like, what a blessing for this new person to come along and ask me who I am. Tell me about you. And for me to actually listen to my story when it came out of my mouth, that changed it too. Yeah. So listen to your story. What is your story? So
you have an interesting manifesting story, or I guess it might be manifesting story. I'm not too sure, but it deals with, you know, the YouTube videos that we do. You know, on my side, it was around, I think October-ish, I think, is when I posted that thing on Facebook. I think maybe November. About the collaboration, the YouTube collaborations, the videos.
Right.
So it was like kind of like 2 days in a row. It was early morning around 3 o'clock. I'm waking up early. I'm like getting all these ideas and like just couldn't go to bed, but it was always 3 o'clock. And then I think it happened like for 2 or 3 days in a row. And it's like, oh, so this is how I can put all this together. QHHT, these collaborations, you know, the other YouTube channel. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. And I'm like, but who's going to want to do this with me? I was like, well, I can go to Facebook, post something, and, you know, if someone's interested, they'll say, yeah, you know, and we'll try it out. And Tracie was one of them that was like, yeah, I'm game. I'm interested. Let's do it. You know, easy cheesy.
Tracie's game for everything.
I know. Let's do it. Let's make this happen. Yeah.
And then Tracie has her side of the story of it.
Yeah. So I kept seeing the name Jason, but I knew Jason as JJ. So, you know, right over the head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere. I was seeing Jason. And I was even talking to my friend Stacy about it. And I said, I keep seeing the name Jason. What does this mean? I don't know a Jason. And so we were both trying to figure it out. And the funny part is we were looking at, you know, the months, and I call them the months of Jason. You got July, August, September, October, November, right? So the months of Jason. We're still waiting to see if anything happens in the month of Jason, or months of Jason. But
my birthday.
Yeah, see, it's still you, Jason.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so this is happening over and over and over again. Well, then I start working with Jason, and we end up doing the channeled videos and different things. And I hadn't seen the name Jason for a while. It kind of left my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, and so then all of a sudden one day I see one of the things that was always, it's one of those soap things. The brand is Jason, and I have one up in my bathroom, but somehow it had gotten turned, so I wasn't seeing it, and then it got turned around again, and I was like, oh yeah, the months of wait a minute, Jason, oh my gosh. And it totally hit me.
It came together.
Yeah. They had been programming me to say yes to this for a while for you know, a little bit of time before he actually posted that. And
see, and that's what we're talking about, being aware. You know, just pay attention, because they're giving you the information. They're feeding it. They're dropping the little seeds, the little crumbs, and then finally, all of a sudden, it'll all come together. But just pay attention.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, it was a timing thing. Everything was lining up to work out. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And Sarah, you know, Sarah level 3, the one that she just took your course and everything. She even had a dream, and we were given a speech on stage, and so she had that dream probably like Monday night, and I sent out that message Wednesday night, and so she was like, I don't know what this is all about, but I'm interested. And that's
Yeah.
when she told me about it. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
There you
Yep.
go. Yeah, and so that's a great way. You put it out there, and the ones that it resonates with, that's for a reason, and it'll attract them. So that's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
And speaking of your trip, you have a board. Were you going to Peru trip?
I am. I leave on Sunday.
Level 3. Is it a level 3 class?
Level
or-
2.
Level 2.
no, she didn't want to do level 3.
No,
I
I
decided
decided to
to
go.
do it somewhere else.
We decided to go traverse Machu Picchu. So,
Yeah.
do some Inca studies.
Yeah. Is that your first time there, or is this
I was there in 2016,
okay?
and we did a class. I really just wanted to go to Machu Picchu. It was one of those. I mean, and I encourage anybody, if this is a bucket list thing for you, go. I mean, if just go, make it happen for yourself, because it is extraordinary.
Wow.
I didn't understand it until I went, and it was like, you have to go. If you have any desire to go at all, go.
Yeah.
When you actually get up there, and there's this one, it's like you're just climbing, and then all of a sudden you get to this point, and I went around this building, and all of a sudden it's the iconic scene that you see everywhere, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's real. I'm actually here. I was actually pinching myself, like, am I really here? It's so.
So if you pinch yourself again this time, would you take a video? Yeah, like that. Only
Like that?
there.
Oh, you mean there? Do it there? Okay.
Do
I
it
will
there.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I will
You
do
can
that.
have Kaya videotape it for me, and then you guys can send it to me.
Okay.
It would bring me great joy, and it would be worth doing.
Only if you will do something like that in Barcelona.
I will. Yes. Speaking of manifesting, yeah, there's another manifestation.
Yeah.
So
It really is. If you get into the sync of it, it's very easy to manifest. And actually, that's what I was trying to say earlier about all the issues with our health conditions or things like that. That's just showing us how easily we manifest, because we create all that. So that's the manifester part of us.
yeah.
If you accept
I will say, though,
these
that-
things, we can create other things as well.
Yeah. But if it's not in alignment, you're not going to manifest it, because I did try to go on that Peru trip. I was even willing to just go as part of the Machu Picchu piece of it if I could figure it out. And I tell you what, if you're not supposed to be there, you're not going to be there.
Right. It's that you're supposed to be in Barcelona.
It's supposed to be in Barcelona.
Yeah.
The Barcelona trip, I tried to arrange. I would have already been there right now. I would have left yesterday. And it all got switched around. And when I went to put the dates into the calendar, it was the exact same dates that they're doing Peru. So
Yeah, so there's something about that.
supposed to be in Barcelona.
We'll
Yeah.
know it at some point, but
So I'll be taking my video over there. So yeah.
It would be interesting to see if you find out the reason why you're supposed to be in Barcelona. That'd be pretty cool.
I think afterwards we'll have to do a little regression work on that.
yeah, see what happens.
For you for Peru, and for me for Barcelona, and
Right.
and see what,
'Cause
if
there
any
is some
information
reason.
comes in.
Yeah, there's something.
We'll
We
see
know
what
enough.
Daniel has to say about it, but I know we're not going to get the information before we go.
No, and that's just it. We know enough now. We know enough about how these things work and about it, that it is something.
Yeah.
and we'll find out when it's time to know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. It's okay. This is so much bigger than. That's one thing I have learned. If nothing else, I've learned that we are barely scratching the scratch of the scratch of the scratch of what there is to know. And
Right.
Just be open to more and more. That's why we're here, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Take the
Pretty-
limits off and let it go, because it's crazy.
I'm pretty sure it deals with somewhat with activation, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
Mhm.
I would bet
Activating
you're right.
Activating the sacred sites.
Well,
Yeah.
or taking energy from those sites and to other places, so it activates these other places, or it activates them, or it, yeah. all of the
I'm
above.
curious to see. Yeah, my curiosity will be when we look at this afterwards, because of our connection.
Mhm.
If what we're doing is simultaneously, because energetically we're connected, we're moving that energy between us, between Barcelona and Peru.
Mhm.
That would be interesting to find out. If you want in on it, Jason, we can send you some of that over. And
I was getting the same thing.
Right.
yeah,
I was thinking, where are you, Jason?
New Orleans.
what's
New Orleans. Okay, so that makes it the other direction. Well, let's see. That makes it.
make our
because we're looking
triangle?
at the trajectory, the triangular.
And
the
I
thing is
think
a triangle.
Saturday, I'll be in Cozumel Saturday. If I ain't mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Saturday, Cozumel.
And see, if you look at these places that we're all going, this is.
Yeah. Did you notice my nose was itching for this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, but if you look, it's like.
What was
they have
nose
the
again?
picture of the grid
Where are we at?
I don't even remember what I said about the nose.
You need to smell something. You're not
I bet we're
smelling.
sensing something. Now I am
Ooh,
curious.
I like that. You're sensing. I like that.
I need to do my old lady vision thing. Do you have nose in the shortcuts?
I don't remember.
Not willing to look at a situation that is very close to you.
Yeah, that's when it's like if there's something, yeah, because I know sometimes there'll be something on the nose or whatever. Well, that's what's trying to get your attention. It's like it's right in your face. It's like, look at it.
You don't have itch on here, so we can't.
Right. But an itch,
Oh, yeah, you do.
okay, I was going to say, if you think about what an itch is, it's something that's trying to, it's irritating.
It's a desire to get going on something right in front of you.
I guess so. There you go.
You already got one deadline, January.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
And there is a desire.
The Soul Speak course that's going to be in person, would anybody be able to take that, or is that just for QHHT?
Anybody.
Anybody.
It'd be very, very beneficial for practitioners, but anyone can take it. I
Anyone.
mean, it's beneficial for anyone.
Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There will be other courses offered in the future too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tracy's been really pushing me on this other one for even longer than Soul Speak, but we're going to get Soul Speak out first. The other one is on light casting, which is the energy light work that I learned and I do. I mean, I created. I mean, it's kind of, I learned part of it.
Really
and
is the way.
took
You just downloaded it in.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's,
Um,
another thing, it's simple. You just work with it. So.
is that different from, I don't know what all the details of Reiki, but is that something different from Reiki, or?
Yeah, it's similar to Reiki in that it's energy work, but it kind of goes a little further with it, where it's kind of like channeling them through your hands to do the work on somebody.
What did we call it the other day? A physical channel manifestation or
I think
something.
it might have been like a physical.
I wrote it down, but it is a physical channeling of this light energy from Star Source, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I could see it whenever I do it. Like I'm just working in their field. I don't touch them or anything. I can do it remotely, or I can do it with them.
Okay.
And I feel like beings are coming through, and they have my hands, and they're moving my hands where they need to go. And so that's why we're saying it's kind of like channeling with the physical body, rather than just the coming through and speaking. It's actually
it's a physical channel. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I won't notice. I'm getting impressions of things as far as what I need to work on, because I can tell by the movements what they're working on, what needs to happen. And sometimes I'll get messages or impressions of maybe something needs to happen. But most of it's just doing it. I'm just working in there. And then the person would come, after they came out, and it's like, oh my gosh, the love that was coming through was just amazing. I didn't necessarily feel anything. Sometimes I'm very aware of them coming through. I know that my hands are guided. That much is for sure. But that's where I'm just being a conduit again, just like we are. When you're a channel, you're a conduit. You're a willing conduit. And that's
Jason's seen me hit my microphone many times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hit it, and I don't even notice that you hit it. I know you did it, but it's like you just like graze it a little bit.
Yeah. So this is, it'll get,
In the way.
my hands will start moving. My chair moves. I'm over here. I'm up here. I'm over there.
Mhm.
So yeah, they do love to move that physical body.
Is the
So
dog behind you by any chance?
right now,
Yeah, the little dog.
Behind your back.
oh no, not this time. I think one of the boys took her and they're keeping her so that she doesn't jump up here. So yeah, she likes to help.
Mm-hmm.
She likes to be part of the energy. Oh, good. So,
Yeah, it was funny when the dog was just chilling behind you, and you had to sit.
yeah, I sit up straight. Girl,
Dog's
right
right
back
there.
here. She likes the warmth of the back and the chair. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of projects in the works.
I do. We'll get to the, I mean, my thing is to stop procrastinating or stop procrastination is just another form of resistance.
And fear. Yeah.
Yes, fear, exactly. So, and I have no problem in acknowledging that. Yeah, it's, you know, we all have it. Even though I've done some of these things before, it's still, it's another new thing. And
Yeah.
it's just,
But Jason's had to deal with me all the time with, he'll put stuff up and like, I won't go look at the comments. He's like, come look at them. They're really good. I'm like, oh.
I did have to wait a few weeks for the good ones to come in. I was like, oh, these are good. Oh, this one's good too. I'm like, yeah, Tracie, it's safe now.
Yeah. He weeded out the ones that would offend me. And
yeah.
but you know, it's one of those things where I know this is an important message to get out. And if I'm reading somebody's comment and it's, you know, there's people out there that are just doing what they do. And if they don't resonate with something, they feel like they need to write it all over the place. And that was affecting me because I was still in shedding my fear and getting out of my ego stuff. And it's a process to do it all, even when, you know, we put ourselves out there like this. We're still vulnerable sometimes.
We're still sensitive.
Yeah, I hurt my feelings. But I do have to say, some of the listeners wrote me personal letters that were really sweet and very kind and supportive. And, you know, it reminds us to, you just got to overlook the ones that are hurt and angry on some level and they feel like they need to write something down that's not pleasant. And, you know, it's about them. It's not about me. And I know my heart's in the right place. I know Jason's is in the right place. And so,
that's, you know, and if anybody, we can all have a platform, you know, and say what we want to say and what's coming to us that's important to say. That's what it's about. So, you know, if you do have something you want to say differently, then create your platform and do that.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I did have to tell Tracie, you know, like you can have, and it's a lot of other people too, you can have like 20 great comments and it's just that one comment that just gets under your skin. I was like, and you know, for me, I'm like, I didn't understand that, but I understand it a little bit better now. But you got 20 awesome comments that people are showing so much love. And I think you're like, yeah, you're right. And another thing is your client or your customer doesn't really do anything. They don't leave comments. They don't give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Like your customer doesn't do either one. Your customer's like, I need to talk to this person. I need to reach out to this person, you know? And that's usually how it goes. You know?
Yeah.
So
That's true.
Absolutely. You just gotta brush it off. Move through it.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it happens to me, and it's kind of like, well, you know, so be it. But I have to look at the bigger picture. You know.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to go back to mirroring. You know, if it's my trigger, I got to go look at why is that my trigger, and if it's not if I'm over that or if I'm past that, then the next time it doesn't faze me at all.
Right.
So it is learning. And if we're triggering somebody in the audience, that's their trigger. They need to go look at that. And
Yeah.
you guys haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, look at that one.
Yeah, that lady, she's 16. And she likes to come over and jump on me as well. And now they're fighting
They
over.
don't have their say now.
Yeah. It's like, it's my turn for mommy. Yeah. They're like, how long are you going to be? Most kids have little, or people have little kids that are, Mom. I got these
That's
guys.
yours. That's your toddlers.
Yep, my toddlers. So. But yeah, it is something to look at though. If you're being triggered by a video, if what something we're saying or doing here is upsetting on any level, then go look at that. That's a journey to take, and it's a blessing to have that show up for you so that you can go heal it.
Right.
That's the part that people forget, because it sometimes can be painful. You forget that it's actually a big blessing that it's showing up right now, and that you can go look at that and heal that piece and honor the feelings. Somewhere you were hurt, somewhere you were made to feel bad, and this could get loud, so I may mute and let you two talk.
Nice. Is there any subjects or anything else you would like to cover?
I don't know. We crossed quite a few, didn't we?
Tell us about your.
We should cover the meaning of life, don't you think?
I think we did. That's why we're all here. I said that a few times. I think that would be the meaning of life.
You do a radio show, podcast or radio?
It's a radio show. Yeah.
Mute.
Yeah, it's on BBS Radio.
Okay.
The Metaphysical Hour on Fridays, 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Central. And that goes out whenever I can do one live, we'll do it. Otherwise, they're playing archived shows. So if I'm not traveling, then I'm trying to do a live show. And now Tracie started helping me with that. So that's helping it happen more consistently.
I know she's pushing you.
Yes, she's pushing me. But something that people may not understand, and you understand this, Jason, because you're doing this. These are not easy to come up with the material and come up. What is it we're going to talk about? Come up with someone to have on there. Come up with all these things. That doesn't just,
it's tight.
You have to work to get that to happen. And so that's why.
You got to put in the time and effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's my job in this world to make sure everyone on the planet knows who Julia Cannon is, because I think she's fabulous and she offers something to the world. I was waiting for you to take a drink.
I was going to say, yeah, you did that right when I drank.
Yeah. But I do. I feel like everyone needs to know what you're offering here. It's life-altering stuff. It's quantum healing. It's your body talking to you. It's working with light and energy to heal and to shift your energy and bring you into the thing that you want for every person on this planet is for them to experience the fifth dimension, to the new earth.
I want them to remember who they are. Yeah. As we remember that, we will naturally start shifting, because that's who we are. We are higher frequency beings. And we just think that this is our reality. We just forgot who we really are. As we remember that, ding, 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 ding. Just
I love the sound effects. Can you do that on the show too?
I'm always saying we're great and powerful beings. We just forgot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. And so, I'm going to poke you. I'm going to poke you and poke you, because I think you've got an amazing message for everyone. And Jason and we're bringing the messages out too. And I think
absolutely,
we all support each other.
Yeah. We all have our parts in this. That's where we came back at this time to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
And every single piece is needed. Every piece is necessary.
It's not a competition. We all want to win this race, you guys. We all want to win it.
So it takes us all working together.
Mm-hmm.
What is 3 tips you can give to the viewers? What's your 3 best tips or advice
for
life, a
cooking?
Person,
Life is like cooking. You just have to have the right ingredients, and then you put it all together and allow the time to simmer, and then beautiful. It's wonderful and nutritious. How's that?
That was wonderful.
All right, you got two more.
I got what I'm hearing is a big one. Patience with ourselves.
I do say patience is a virtue.
It can be a tough one. I mean, how many, and I'll have both hands up on this one. I feel like that has been a major thing I came here to experience and understand, besides fear, is patience. I always say my three things to work with in this life is patience, acceptance, and tolerance.
Yeah.
Good.
So, and so how many have similar, things? And that's when you see these things, they just keep happening and happening. Well, it could be along those lines, because they can get really frustrating. But that's where we're here, maybe to learn those things. I feel like those are three major things. I don't feel like I'm a very patient person, but some of the things I've seen myself go through, I'd say I've really handled. I'm developing that one. So
You're doing well. Yeah. You're doing a good
so
job.
that's where just, be patient with ourselves and allow ourselves to,
Yep.
Yeah. She. Allow ourselves to grow, because, even though we're aware of some things and we know it's happening, we want it to happen, it doesn't necessarily just happen. Just like a plant, you put the seed in the ground, it's not going to immediately be the plant with the fruit on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to go through its stages. It has to have the right conditions. It has to have the time. It has to, there's all these things that have to be there in order for it to grow and be its beautiful, wonderful self that it is. And it's not going to be anything else other than what it is.
Right.
So there's another tip. Just be you.
Exactly.
You are magnificent. You, just as you are magnificent. You can't, we're all trying to be something we're not, then we can't contribute. We came here to contribute the piece of ourselves as we go. So be you, as authentically wonderful as you can be.
That's good. That's
Okay.
good. That's perfect. And
no more cookie cutter versions.
No, you're going to have to just pat those cookies out, and they're going to be whatever they are.
Right. Well, even in the books and even in our channeling videos, that we're planting seeds.
Yes.
And as we go, we are planting seeds.
Everybody plants seeds, and that's what it goes back to. We all have our role to play. We are all important. Even if you think you're not doing anything, you are. Right. We are all affecting someone else. And so and it's kind of like that movie at Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life. You don't know what effect you have on people until something can happen and maybe your part is taken out, and you see just exactly what effect you've had. Mm-hmm. We all have a huge effect. We would all create a great big hole if we weren't here. Take credit. I mean, it doesn't mean, hey, I'm wonderful in the ego. It's nothing like that. We all have a very valuable part to play. This would not be the same world if any one of us were not here.
I kind of want you to do the ego piece again.
That's kind of how ego.
And this is what you guys don't see when Julia and I are doing our thing. Yeah.
That's the ego bouncing around, right?
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, likes his little limelight. Yeah, really. I mean, it's not ego to understand that you are valuable. That you have a very, everybody has a role, and it's huge. When you think about any one of those pieces were gone, it would not be the same.
Right. Absolutely.
So thank you, everyone, for being here, doing your part.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching.
Yeah, and make sure you go get on Julia's YouTube page as well. You're under Julia Cannon's, is it Soul Speak?
I think it is.
Okay. We'll leave a link to that in the description as well.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And the radio, the archive, that's someone to a website?
Yes, the Metaphysical Hour is the name of the show, and it's on bbsradio.com.
Okay. And
you can
we'll get the link for that as well and
Okay.
add that. So you racking up some links.
There we go. I have a Facebook link as well. Facebook page. It's Julia Cannon Soul Speak.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're out there.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's wonderful. I was looking for you on YouTube, and you are tagged in so many different pages. I'm like, where is she? You'll find it.
I can't find her.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah, I got work. I have work to do on my page so that you can find me.
Absolutely.
I know somebody that will poke you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's another one of Tracie's pokings here.
Nice.
Tracie.
That's good. But you know, there's a lot of places to find your information. It's just I'd like to direct them directly to you. But yeah, you are all over on there. It's not going to be hard to find you. It's just I want them to go to your page and follow you. But there's going to be a lot of new things showing up on that page, and so we want
Absolutely. We have a lot of shows that are just now getting all their editing done. They all at once have been done, so I'm putting them out 1 to 2 a week. So
yeah, and sending great appreciation to the editor of that.
Yes.
Yeah,
I just subscribed.
Oh,
you got one extra subscriber.
Thank you.
See, it's already started to snowball. It's going to be big. Love it. Yeah. So.
Well, it has been wonderful. This has been fantastic.
Yeah. We're going to have to do this again if Tracie is okay with that and keeps poking.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant, am I going to share Julia? I was like, I am a little possessive, but you don't have to ask me.
Yeah, that's Tracie being Tracie.
Yeah.
I've done it for years. Mm-hmm.
When Tracie's ready to do something, she's like, okay, let's do it right now. You know, so that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keeps the pace going.
Yeah, if you want something done, get Tracie on your side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's that Capricorn thing. If you tell me you want something done, then you want it done. Tell a Capricorn, because it's going to drive them nuts to watch you not do it. So,
interesting.
Yeah. Go find your Capricorn and say, I'd really like to get this project done. And then they'll ask you every day if you've done it. So, yeah. And that's my job.
And she does it well.
That's good. It's good to know.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we were talking about it, and she's like, yeah, you want Julia on the show and everything? You want to do a collaboration with her? I'm like, yeah, sure. She goes, all right, I'll text her right now.
And then I kept checking. I was like,
10 minutes later, why she's not responding back?
He's probably got that on video.
I do. I'm gonna give her 10 more minutes.
And actually, you did respond, but I think we had started on our what we were doing. So
channeling. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she did. She had responded within that time frame. I looked at the time. I went, oh,
good on me. That was the day that I was on it.
Yeah, you made my time frame.
Good.
I wasn't disappointed that day, Julie. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. I won't use that word with you anymore. It's just I didn't know.
Absolutely.
For me.
Yeah. I feel it. I can feel it. Yeah. So wonderful.
Yeah, it was an interesting channel link too, because it was about portals, and that was interesting.
Yeah, that was a funny one, because we were going to ask Akashic record questions. We were going to ask. We had a. And we
never
didn't
had none of those questions answered.
No. He started off going, so what would the channel like to share with the audience? And then it was all over. Mm-hmm. It went a whole different direction. And
which is good, because now that was another video in a pipeline, and now we can worry about the other stuff later.
Yeah, it gives us material for next time.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was easy.
Oh, I bet you're.
It was, because we were.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, we were talking what did we end up? We're talking about clearing the houses of the energy and portals that open up in houses, and what would you do with that? There was a lot of information in there for people to really take care of themselves and clear their energy, clear their homes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
So somebody, and when things like that happen, it means at least one person, and you probably got a number, Tracie, when you were doing this, that at least one person really, really needed that information.
it was the little girl. I cleared her room.
Okay, there you go.
Or I didn't do it. The channel cleared her room.
But that's how it is, because some things like that will happen to me when I'm on stage. A lot of times I always come through, it's like, okay, and it'll be one person in that audience needed that information,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, as as conduits, that's our job is we do it. If they say this has to be done, you have to do this, what you do it. It's just, that's the agreement we made.
Exactly. Yeah. When I was on the show on Sunday, Alan, the host, they were reading questions from the audience. And I was actually kind of surprised how well this worked, because there was this one guy that asked what needed to shift in his energy for him to open up to something. And they just did it for him right there. It's just like, okay. But they were like moving. There was something going on with his crown chakra, and they were working on it and doing all this stuff. And then he writes back in the comments or something, wherever their chat room was, that he could feel tingling and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's cool.
And that's a huge one. That's what they're saying right now. If you'll just be open and allow.
Yeah.
Anything, like here, we're getting all these nose itchings and things like that. That's because this higher energy, this frequency is here. And anytime you're doing things like this, we've been talking about healing through the show. If you just, anytime you listen to it, it doesn't even have to be live, anytime you're listening to it, it's still there. It's always there. So just be open to it and allow, and you will receive. And if you'll just believe it, allow it and believe it, trust
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal stuff. And it doesn't matter where you are.
No.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of energy.
It really is. Yeah. I love it. I was going to ask you, because I was sent a video today about how your mom's twin flames with Nostradamus. And I just wanted to know why you've been holding that out. Why are you holding that on me?
Well, because Mom wouldn't. Actually, I feel like, and that's probably not too far from the truth, because the whole time I always felt like because they had that connection, and it was over time, it was through time, and it was like he was insisting he's still alive and stuff like that. I was like, to be happening the way it is, I almost bet you, I wonder if they're not the same soul, if it's not like reincarnation and stuff. I never said that to her, but that's how it felt to me. And so this twin flame thing may not be too far off. They had such a strong mission thing that.
And I can see what you're saying there, and just reading that stuff and hearing her talk about it, you can get that vibe from it as well. And then there was now he was regressing or talking through someone, and so was she, right? And that person was a reincarnation.
What do you mean? And so was she?
She was talking to somebody in a session too.
Right. Mom was doing the session. The person that was under was one of his students.
Yeah.
And then he was teaching the class, and he could see what was going. It's like the student of his was conversing. He could tell he was doing something with another dimension, another timeline. This is something he had been wanting to do, and so he just broke in.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, I want to talk to you."
So she was like the telephone. So she was.
She started relaying the messages. He says he wants to talk to you. Has a message for you, and then later it actually came through.
So she was the one that was in his time and then reincarnated again in our time. Yeah, that's okay. I thought I was remembering that right. It was a very impressive story.
Yes.
Wasn't she talking to him directly, like through the client?
Through the client.
At first, it was this person acting, the student acting as a relay. It's like, well, he's saying this, he says this, he says this, and then after a little bit, then it became just like the way it is with our. Because she was being the student relaying the messages, and then it became like the SC. It's like he just stepped in and started talking, and then after that they learned how to contact him directly, and they would just go to him directly and just do it. It didn't matter who it was.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So then it was, and it was the same way. It would start out maybe as well. He's saying this, he's showing me this, whatever, but then then it could be him. He would just start speaking. It's just how open the person was to be able to do that.
Yeah, very
She
cool.
made 2 books from that, correct? Didn't she make 2 of them? 3? Yeah. That's amazing. I want to know how many people started reading his book once when the Notre Dame church was on fire.
I don't know. I didn't hear about that, but like when the towers fell, oh my gosh, that's when it all, because it was, all of that is in the book, in the books. It's in there. So,
Wow.
I remember that.
Towers and the Pentagon, every single bit of it's in there.
No way.
Yeah.
I want to know. Makes you wonder what else is in there.
Exactly. And the thing is, if you read it now, because I was there when she was doing it all, and so she would always come to me, and I mean, I had just had my daughter, and it was like, I don't want to me, it was like doom and gloom stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to hear this stuff, you know. I just had a baby, I had the hope of the world here, and you're telling me the earth's going to end, you know. I was like, I don't want to hear it. And so after a little while, then I was on trips with her, and she was still doing sessions and contacting him. So I was sat in on some of the sessions. But that was as much as I was exposed to it. I was just like, I heard about it. And when the books were published, I didn't read them. And so just because I felt like I already knew what was in them, all this doom and gloom, like, I don't want to read them. When 9/11 happened, my mom was on a trip, and they were trying to get home, and I was trying to find out where they were because they were up in the Northeast somewhere. You know?
Yeah, a little scary.
And finally, they called and they said, "Look, we're fine, but it's all in the books." And it's like, what? And it's like, yeah, every bit of it, even the Pentagon, every bit of it's in the books. So at that point, I mean, they were working their way home, but I went and got all the books and I started reading them all at the same time. I couldn't believe it. I was amazed. And even as I was reading things, I mean, I had the TV on too, because at that point, that was such a huge thing.
Yeah.
That it was constant. We were just completely flooding ourselves with all the information. It's like anything. Wow. As I'm reading stuff in the book, I'd read it and then they'd report it on the news. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? I mean, it was happening as
you're reading through it.
And I was just like, well, this is freaky.
So with that being said, it sounds like the books were not coded. It's pretty straightforward from what it's, as you're reading.
No, they were coded. He was translating them though.
Yeah.
And that was the first time they'd ever been, it was all 1,000 quatrains. Because he had 1,000 of them, he translated all of them. He said, it's got to be done because they're misunderstanding. They're not translating them correctly. You've got to know what's going on. You've got to, so you can do something about it.
So these were your mom's books? Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an assignment. When he came through, he says, I have an assignment for you.
Yeah, I remember her saying that some of the quatrains were not translated properly. And that and astrology was somewhat wrong, that we weren't doing that right.
Yeah, we had to have an astrologer. These people would just appear for Mom. They would just come into her life. And this one guy's he's not a big astrologer, but he was a really in-depth astrologer. So he became one of the subjects.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff before, the person before, she's saying, well, he's showing me all these stars things, but I don't understand what it means. So that's when I was like, okay, we need an astrologer. Well, here one came in, and he knew exactly what he was showing them, because those are timelines when he does that. So, yeah. But the beautiful thing about it was when I was reading it, it was like, first it's freaky because all the things are happening. And I'm like, oh gosh, well, let's see when's the earth going to end, and stuff. But then as I'm reading,
go to the end of the book.
Go to the last page.
And you could see exactly where we were. But then you could see that it was already being lessened. And that was what the whole mission was about. It's like, if you let enough people know, will they do something about it? And will they, he was showing the worst case scenario. And if they stayed and we didn't do anything and everything stayed the way it was. But it's like, if you get enough people, if you make enough people aware of it, will they do something about it and change enough that it can shift? And it did, and so you can tell that there's a lot of things that were supposed to happen didn't happen. So that's where we shifted, timelines.
Right. Yeah, I do remember him talking about, like, you have options. So if you continue down this path, you're going to have this type of destruction, but you need to change yourselves, and
Right.
you need to go this way, and this can be the path that y'all have.
Exactly.
So,
Your choice.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, if I show the worst thing that man can do.
Yeah, I think he said if we can survive the 90s, we're going to be okay.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, a lot of people are still waiting. Oh, where's it coming? When's it going to be here? But some people just love it. They just love the doom and gloom. They want something to happen. It's like, I mean, we're actually in or very much approaching the big time of peace. So it's like, let's let that be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's way different than was ever predicted on the worst case scenario side. I mean, you can feel it too. I mean, we were supposed to be in an all-out third world war. I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
So none of that happened, and it's not going to. We went a different way. So if somebody, something later might happen as this is being viewed, it might be questions or it might be things. And yeah, I'm sensing that, but then they already know what's coming up. So I think we addressed that earlier. We said there's somebody out there that needed that or whatever. So that's how they'll work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right now they're saying it's okay. I guess I am getting something. Okay, right now they're just saying it's an awareness. People just need to be aware. Later they'll start tapping in with with the need or the question or something. Right now it's everything is to be aware.
Hmm.
All right.
To be aware of their inner self, their awareness around them.
Aware of the energetic connection, how energy works, and that this can happen. And if somebody comes through with a message, it could very well be for them, even though it was a recorded show or anything. These things, the energetics they don't know time. Energy has no time. And so even though it's being recorded now or something's happening now, someone listening to it at another time, it very much, you need to know it can and it must and is.
Yes, they could be watching it a year from now and the message for them. Yeah.
Exactly. Or somebody said, oh, that was for whenever they did it. No, if you're feeling it, it's for you.
Yeah.
And the energetics knew that. That's why, I mean, a lot of things I've done, they've had me do it because they knew I was being recorded and it would be going into the future. And so it was like, this was a message for somebody down the line.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
how it works.
Yeah.
So it's okay. I see somebody does need that information. Absolutely. This message is for you. Be aware, be open, allow, believe.
Nice.
You should put that on a bumper sticker.
Okay. You're going to write it down what I just said.
Another project to work on.
Another project. We should put that on a t-shirt or bumper sticker.
A mug.
Yeah.
A mug.
I like that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, I think we touched base on a lot of things. Unless Tracie has something else she wants.
Oh my
to
gosh.
touch base on.
That's too funny. I know what time it is for you guys, so I'm gonna let this wrap up.
Yeah, I think we did a great job. I think we touched base on a lot of interesting things, a lot of great information.
Yeah, we've covered most of life's mysteries. And,
No, we haven't talked about the pyramids yet, but
well, we'll save those for next time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We got to have something.
Exactly. Right. Wonderful. Okay, so thank you, Julia. Thank you, Jason.
Thank
you,
Tracie.
Jason. Thank you, Tracie.
Thank you, Julia.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I kind of feel like we're the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Those little squares.
We just need 3 more, huh?
Or the Bunch or the Waltons.
The Waltons.
Night,
John Boy.
Good night, John Boy.
that Geico commercial. Where everybody's like saying goodnight.
Yes, that's right.
The Geico commercial, each one of them is saying goodnight, goodnight, Billy Bob, goodnight.
That'd be like they're mimicking the Waltons. Have you ever seen the Waltons?
You're old enough to have seen the Waltons.
What's going on in it?
Oh, no, never mind. We dated ourselves, Julia. We got to go now.
Sure did. But all you say is
I'll
goodnight,
Google
John
it.
Boy, and you'll know exactly. Everybody knows.
You'll know why we said goodnight, John Boy. Yeah, everybody says
Okay.
goodnight, John Boy.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this recording.
Good night.
Good night.